Hello,
Oh,
everyone. Welcome to
hello.
Out of Game, the Slenderverse Aftershow, Night 2. Today we are joined by Chris Hammarberg, Lee Esposito, Alex Maddon, and Heather Mooch, the Dark Harvest and Whispered Faith crew.
I think Alex has
Hi.
become slowly on the left, so I'm going to fix that while you guys introduce
Yes,
yourselves.
I'm like migrated all the way over
Yeah, I don't know.
on the overlay. I don't know what happened.
Left
But,
Alex is
uh,
different than right
yeah,
Alex.
You're trying to hide.
So, audience, thank you all for being here. Panel guests, thank you all for being here. This is delightful. I'm so happy
Thanks
to
for
have
having
you
us.
all on this.
Happy to be
stream.
here.
This is going to
Yeah.
be delightful. I'm very excited.
I am very excited as well. Oh man, the emotions.
I know,
Running
it's
through my
been a
body.
wild day, hasn't it?
What a film! What a great doc!
Thank
What a
you.
great job!
Seriously, what a fantastically put together time capsule of our 20s.
It's just about you guys. It's just your lives. Like, that's it.
It's
Well,
Very
that's what I kept
surreal.
laughing
Surreal.
about. Yeah, I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how is my life this interesting?
There's an
For
entire
real, though.
2-hour film about it now.
Ah.
That
very
is
surreal.
absolutely unreal.
It got my mom to finally watch my YouTube series, so.
Oh, wow.
Hey, there you
Excellent.
go. We got mom. We got like posted on the fridge honors. That's
That's
it.
so true.
I got the gold
highest.
star.
Yeah, I don't remember who it was. Someone told me, one of the people who was in the documentary was like, now I can finally explain what the fuck I've been doing for the last like 15 years to
Oh,
my
I
parents.
think that was it was Jeff.
Yeah, wild.
So the format for tonight is a little different than the format for last time,
is.
as the
It
audience may
is.
have noticed. So tonight we have two lovely blocks of guests. We have our first block here above me and Alex again. I think this is just how Sage is going to keep laying them out. We're just going to keep doing this. The
I
overlay.
like it.
Yeah, we have a lot of art contributions on the overlay tonight, which I will call out as we get closer. But Sage reworked this today, and it looks a lot sharper. So thank you so much to Sage for that.
Thank you, Sage.
Our second block, which will start at around 11, probably like really 11:05.
EST.
And we'll have a whole different group of people. As
Indeed.
Play Scholar has just posted in the chat, the first 20 minutes, our moderators will be collecting your audio, your necessary questions and recording them. And then in the next 10 minutes after that, our lovely moderator, Leia, who is behind me in the void, will be collating those questions into 10, well, maybe not 10, but into a handful that we'll give to you all from the audience. And then we'll do that again for the second half. It'll just be first 20 minutes, post your questions, 10 minutes of collation, and then 20 minutes, or that's how math works, 25 minutes of actual audience questions with whoever's on our block. So
25 minutes of Alex explaining himself.
Yes, exactly.
as people ask about
What is your problem with blogs?
Yeah, Alex.
Yeah.
Let's open with that.
Let's
What's your
start
problem
there.
with
Let's start
blogs?
there. Please address the allegations.
Yeah,
What?
it's just simply not true. I had a blog myself. Dark Harvest was run on a blog, partially.
Sure, we did have a blog.
We did have Project Egypt. We had a variety of things. So, I didn't hate blogs. I did think that it was ridiculous at a certain point. So what fueled it mainly was every day, it seemed. There would be an obligatory. I have poured 5 to 6 hours into writing this blog, and it's a week old. Where's my audience? I have no idea where are the people? Like where are the views? Where are the clicks? And I remember it was like everyday thing. I'm like, dude, this is like number 60. Like it got really out of hand. So I thought it was just really funny, like to point it out, but in a way that was just extremely troll. But we fed into it. It snowballed out of control, and we had a good time with it though. But I think it was primarily for the election, and I actually wanted to
you
be
needed a
on. I
platform.
remember.
He did it for the bit.
The platform was good. Chris was my my manager, my election manager, and he did a fantastic job, right? And like helping me make that video and everything like that. It was very well done.
Yeah, I will say I demand a recount because
Yeah.
I think something fishy is
Exactly.
going on.
Look, I'll just say, I mean, you could always bring back Maddden 2024.
Yeah.
I mean, the group's still there.
As Alex's campaign manager, I'm very happy to announce that he is now running again Maddden 2024. This is your chance. This is your chance for redemption.
President this time, right?
Technically,
for actual president of the United States.
Oh, I thought president of the Slenderverse. That's a different thing.
Technically, I'm a mod, and Alex is not.
We have
That's
to.
true. Wait, Heather won the 2020. Heather won the No More Blogs campaign.
No, there was no election. It was completely.
This was me complaining and saying I just wanted to be a mod for so long that finally Marissa was like, "Go ahead, just fucking be a mod. I don't care anymore." And I was like, "Yes." No one thought it would ever happen.
What we're essentially getting at is that 90% of the Slenderverse politics was pure chicanery, and we have fun. We have fun here. We have fun here.
Well, Val's calling for a new election.
2012, it's for the lulz.
I agree with Val. We should have a new election, and also we should elect Alex Maddden as the president of the United States. In
I agree.
Better
choice, honestly. Yeah.
What's your platform, Alex?
No more blogs.
No more blogs.
Bloggers gone on a national level.
Too many blogs are coming into our country. We need to slow.
Oh God.
What are you gonna do about the vlog deficit?
Oh, we're off to a good start.
We're like 5
Gotta get the
minutes in. We're
giggles
completely off the rails.
That's the point. That's. Did
Exactly.
you think any of these were going to be normal, Lexi?
No.
Well, if anything, if I can defend myself, anything, the last stream, obviously you have Nocturne, you have Tim, and you have Evan, and they all know each other, and like it's not like they're strangers. But now you've got the bonkersness of 4 friends.
We just brought in a whole friend
done
group for this
nothing
one.
but enable each other for like I don't know. I've known Chris the longest, so since I was like 7.
4
shit poster friends.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yes, that is.
Yeah,
that
we
is
knew what
also
we were doing.
Look, the amount of memes leading up to this was enough to know. To like, what was I gonna say? We did not do a thing last time that I am not really sure why it blew my mind, but it absolutely did. Nobody was asked on the last stream what they actually thought of the documentary. So
That's true. We completely forgot to talk. We did not talk about the documentary the entire time on the last Aftershow.
With like, what did you guys think? I mean, I know a little bit about what you thought about the documentary, but like, what did you guys think about the documentary?
Who wants to go first?
You go first.
Sure, I'll go first. Okay, yeah. I thought it was phenomenal. I've said it a million times literally since they interviewed me. Alex, you are a talent, and it is absolutely mind-blowing that you're as young as you are and as talented as you are. And I think both halves of this doc so far have really like showcased that. And you did a better job at explaining what the Slenderverse is than I've been able to do as a part of it in the span of like 12 years.
Yeah, I would like to say, so I cheated a little bit in that I did actually get sort of an advanced sneak peek of these films, and good lord, like so amazing, so incredible. First time that I watched this entry, yeah, I got choked up at the end. It really is a surreal experience, watching what is essentially a time capsule of your like teenage and early 20s, turned into a really moving documentary piece about art and creativity and friendship. and stuff. So like, I mean, obviously I'm a little biased, but like I love this second film, probably my favorite of the three. It's really it's really beautiful. I just love it. I think it's fantastic. It's so well produced, so well researched. And I hope that it inspires people, to create. And I definitely think that that barrier of like, yeah, there is no barrier. Like Nightmind said in the first in the first doc, just go out and do it. Just get some friends together and make some stuff, because it's magical. And I will say that that leads to really strong bonds of friendship. I think that doing this has made me better friends with literally everyone in this call. So pretty cool.
Alex, what are your thoughts?
I thought it was really awesome. I especially liked the No More Block segment. I thought that was pretty funny. I was
Honestly, why
Alex
did you
only
include
skipped to the
any
parts that he was in.
Why did you include anything else in the documentary?
I think it was crazy the images that I saw that were like dug up, and some of the footage really brought back a lot of really fond memories, especially like me and Vinny having a nice conversation. Like that was the first time I ever met or talked to Vinny at Cheeseburger. Like that's rare. I just thought that was like really, really cool to like bring back those types of memories.
Cheeseburger?
Yeah.
Do they even exist anymore?
No.
Like my first
That's
time,
a great question.
It was my first time ever like interacting with Vinny, like, because every time it was like we sat across from each other, but it was the first time like in all the times we hung out, which was like a total of 3 or 4 times since. That was the first time we had an actual conversation, and I just thought that was really nice. But the other one I thought was really nice was I forgot about medieval times, to be honest, because
Really?
it kind of blends together in terms of like how we met everyone. I think that was I feel like we've been friends for so long. It's rare to think about like the real beginning, of the when we actually met up. Because I remember we chatted with everyone for a little bit beforehand, and like, but it was a very surreal experience, and it was very, made some lifelong friends, except Heather.
I should tell you, by the way.
You're on my fucking watch list.
I should tell you that I did Google if Cheeseburger was still in business. The answer is interesting. There are 3 of them in the U.S.
There's one of them in Maddden, New Jersey.
It's like Roy Rogers.
There is a 4th one. Do you want to guess where the 4th cheeseburger is?
Alaska.
Hamilton, New Jersey.
It's very good guesses.
I remember that one in particular because I remember Cairo and I did the 1-pound burger challenge.
Oh, fuck. Ew.
Oh my god.
Me, him, I think Evan did it too. And we did those down, and we got like a picture on like the wall. And I remember I think someone took a picture of like all 3 of us like together on the wall. I thought that was really cool too. But that was
That is
also
awesome.
another fun.
Yeah. I dug real deep into the archives for all that footage, and some of it was supplied to me, by Chris, a little bit of it, but a lot of it was
You dug up some really good stuff.
Literally, you guys just posted your entire lives on YouTube for like 5 years there. Like, I literally just had to go like dig into like people's accounts, and like there you guys are. Like,
cool thing about just like the whole documentary as a whole, at least for me, is just number one, seeing things I hadn't seen in a very long time. Like I haven't watched the Maddden 2012 election thing, but like I quote it so often. And just kind of, I do like, and I made a joke of it in the live stream chat. I was like, the Slenderverse was at the end of the day about the friends you made along the way. I was like, oh shit, that's actually true.
Literally.
I genuinely, I don't think I would be the person I am today. I would not be here. Everything about my life, especially at that time, was the Slenderverse, because I found it just to be such a inspiring group of people. And I say this to, I've said this to Chris and Lee. I'm inspired by you guys every single day. You guys are so creative, and just your your energy is so fantastic. I love you all. And I don't think I'll ever really understand truly how our experience on the internet was fascinating to not only all the people in the live stream right now, but the viewers. And I'm just a normal person. And it's really sweet. We love you, Dad. We miss you. I put that in the chat a couple times. And the watch Whispered Faith. Lee is cute.
Of course. Lee
yeah,
is
there
cute.
it is.
And I made sure that got into the doc very specifically. I made sure
I
that was in
noticed.
there.
Yeah, the Theral. I didn't know it came from
I had
Theral.
Theral in there. I got Theral in there. I mean, talking about Theral. I couldn't find
the
Theral. I
Theral
did
segment
try.
made me very happy.
I legitimately tried to find Theral. Could not find it.
I have a picture.
I've seen the picture. I didn't know if
okay.
he would want it publicized, so I didn't include
He
it in the
exists
documentary.
kind of off-grid.
Yeah.
Theral, I think Marissa probably had the closest tie to him, and I think I was second, because still to this day unfortunately I don't know if he's alive. I don't know where he is. He was very, very private, because I don't know if it's touched upon, but he had some health issues. But every year I put happy birthday on his Facebook page, just in the case that he does see it one day. So hope so. I love Theral.
Yeah, I hope Theral's okay. I do miss Theral sometimes.
Think, check. What was it? Think, check.
Think, check, laugh.
Think, check, laugh. Theral had his own very unique language, and we are very appreciative of that too.
Ha ha.
Alex, ha ha.
That was his specific way of laughing, both in Tiny Chat and in comments.
Yeah, I noticed his very specific manner of speech. When I found out about Theral for the first time, I was so moved. I was like, oh my god, he's so passionate.
Well, not only
and
that,
everyone just embraced him. It was so sweet.
It goes to show that the fandom was so broad. A lot, as you know, a lot of fans tend to be in their teenage years or early 20s. I mean, I don't need to tell you guys, but it was really nice to see that it wasn't just in this microcosm of young adulthood. Even Theral, who was probably in his 50s at the time, was a big fan. And there's no age barrier, no gender barrier, no race barrier, no anything barrier. You could just be a Slenderverse fan. And we would embrace you.
Yeah.
So I guess in that way, Theral was the only person that wasn't a creator in the Slenderverse creator group.
And Gio, I believe, who we will get to later, audience.
Yeah.
He technically was a creator.
I know what you're talking about.
With his brother Gio Kraska.
I was gonna say
that is not true.
No
lies.
Give that to Marissa. I'm not talking about fucking Gio Kraska right now.
He was co-writing with Gio Kraska.
Yeah, but that's not his brother.
I even forget what Leo's series was, but I remember that's why he ended up in the group.
Right, I'm just saying that's not his brother.
Maybe that.
I'm not even.
Yeah, no.
I'm memeing that it's his brother, but
We are
that is
off
not
track.
why
We're off the rails.
Jesus.
Yeah, very easy for us to go off the rails. So
Leo and Gio Kraska
to y'all.
No, I mean, the off the rails is part of it. So we, stupid. Yeah. Here we are doing an after show called Out of Game with a title that Lexi came up with. Myimmersion Reloaded. I had a different title.
Great title.
And then Lexi was like, it'd be really funny. And I was like, that is
Myimmersion.
Myimmersion.
Yeah.
That Tiny Chat room technically still exists. I joined it temporarily for 5 minutes to do some recording.
This is
it's still there.
that
still there.
I thought it was down.
No. Well, it wasn't like last year.
This is
Is
like
there
learning
anyone-
that the unfiction
anyone
forum
use it
tiny chat
anymore?
still exists.
I don't think
which
anyone
it
uses
does.
it, but I'm just saying it still exists. That's all I'm saying.
I still use it.
No, you don't. Shut the fuck up.
No more blogs
I
every
would like
year.
Monday morning paper.
You go in at like 3 a.m.
Alex just
now
goes in
that
there
is
on
where
Wednesday
puzzle
nights and
by
just sits
myself.
in silence.
I sit in silence and do Sudoku word puzzle.
And then Daryl
Every
pops
Sunday
in
morning.
and goes, ha ha. And it goes out.
Completed. I
Like a
Oh my
ghost.
Slenderman
That's
himself.
It's a chat room haunted by Feral, and he just pops in and laughs and then leaves.
I didn't even know
I
that
love
Tiny
that.
Chat still existed. So that's
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
what-
either.
yeah, well,
Honestly,
oh
that's
my God.
crazy.
Or at
No,
least as like
technically-
yeah.
Technically still around, or was. I haven't checked.
Is it totally different now, or is it still like?
Oh
an
yeah, the
IRC
layouts. The
looking
layouts.
thing?
Well, I think it's the same like general like program, but it's like the layout's
Yeah.
completely different.
Mm.
They tried to like
Oh.
modernize it, and it looks weird.
Tiny
Oh,
Chat was the
boo.
first app
Boo.
I downloaded on my iPhone when I got an iPhone.
Hell yeah.
It was like the first thing, and it ran like shit because it was like what 2012,
Like an iPhone 4 or something.
I think. Probably. I think it was an iPhone 3.
No, okay. So clarification: the unfiction like the unforum IRC chat still exists. My bad. I think it's I think the person
Wow.
I'm losing their name. Rowan Wonder Weasels is still keeping it up. So if you want to just
Wow.
surprise the fuck out of them. Also, the other Cheeseburger is in Saudi Arabia.
Oh.
So
Interesting.
Oh,
take that
interesting.
for what you will. I
Expanding into
guess.
different markets.
Very interesting.
Awesome.
Because no one's buying it in the U.S.
Yeah,
Where's
apparently.
Dylan when you need him?
He's in the other he's in
He
the other
is.
channel.
He's in the other panel chat right now. We'll get to him.
We'll get to him. That's what we're doing.
We'll get to him.
Great.
We'll get to him.
You stay there for now, Dylan. I know you're
We'll
watching.
get to
Just
him.
stay there.
He,
Stay there for now.
he's in the box. He'll come out when he's ready.
We'll let him out of the box when it's time.
So
We're keeping him in there for
Shaking.
your own safety.
we put him in another box inside of our DVD select menu or whatever hell we've created here for us all to occupy.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
no,
All right.
so we have two kind of conjoined questions. One of them is just me, and the other one is our moderation team, which just wanted to ask about how was coming together to film Dark Harvest. I know you guys have probably talked about this forever and over and over again, but how was it like? What was it like to come
Say it
together
a million times.
to film Dark Harvest at first, and also for the separately, obviously you were there filming on Dark Harvest, but
Yeah.
filming Whispered
Was.
Face also separately, or togetherly, I don't know, somethingly. But and the other conjoined question, which you can choose to answer or not answer, is hey, you guys just came back to Dark Harvest. It was great. It was fantastic. That's got to be surreal. What was that like?
Thank you. Well,
I'll
the
let
first
my
question...
esteemed colleagues answer this while I run to the bathroom.
Sounds good.
Finally.
So the first question of do you mean so the inception of when we first started filming together?
What I would be particularly interested to hear about is how sort of the group came together, right? Because what I've always kind of
There you go.
envisioned it as since we started talking and since I learned about it was that over time it sort of became this core of Chris, Alex, Heather, and Lee all kind of working in tandem over the course of several months or years as sort of a crew. Especially during that second arc there. So that's really what I'm very curious to hear about.
See, I'm glad you're here to clarify.
Yeah, well, I guess it's interesting in that. So the very first episode of Dark Harvest, I shot completely on a whim, by myself. I was literally the only person involved because I very spur of the moment, I was literally watching EMH when I had that thought, and I was like, oh, you know what? I could do this. I want to do this. So I went ahead and made a YouTube channel, named it Dark Harvest because chances are I had the Invader Zim episode buried in the deepest recesses of my subconscious, and I just thought it sounded spooky. So I did that, and then literally day 2 I reached out to Alex and I said hey, do you want to be a part of this? This is a new project. And like we knew about like Marble Hornets and EMH, like we had been fans prior to that. So I remember saying like, hey, do you want to do it? Like we can do our own thing. And Alex was on board, which is why literally the second episode, Alex is there because, you know, we were together like literally from day 2. Then Heather came on board at the very beginning of the second season, although the seasons were kind of created post hoc. It wasn't necessarily meant to be a second season. We just sort of I broke it up years later into sections that I thought made sense.
Mhm.
Heather was on board, and then Lee, after that big crossover, the Blue Oyster shoot, we met Lee, and actually, more or less, the reason that we worked together so closely on everything is because we all went to the same community college. We saw each other every week. Like we were constantly hanging out, just like outside.
We got lunch together between classes.
Yeah.
We would like make time to like have, oh, Lee, you and I both don't have class for 3 hours. Let's just chill here and talk about spooky things we've
Let's
seen.
go
on
to
the internet.
Sonic.
Literally, yeah. Like it was a lot of
Let's
Sonic.
go to
Chris and
Sonic
I
and
would go to Subway a lot.
It was just a lot of just hanging a lot. I mean, the early episodes of Dark Harvest, I mean, you can even, dude, we're playing like video games. Like, it was just like an excuse to hang out. And one, we didn't know what we were doing, but a lot of the times that we did have a shoot, we would have like a gathering or like a party after. Like it was kind of crazy. Like I remember after the Blue Oyster shoot, we hosted like a mini party. It was a lot of fun.
Like a
I
Blue Oyster
remember
shoot, we were out until like 3 in the morning.
That was amazing.
Yeah, no, like that's true. We did like a lot of it. It was just hanging out. You know, we were just hanging out with our friends, and then we were doing something like creative on the side. Exactly. Yeah.
And we met all these cool people. A lot of people came out and like visited us, and you know, interweave story. It was really cool. And here, listening to their series, and like, you know, some of them would tell me about some of their series. Like, oh, I actually want to like read that. Like Tom's. That was actually the first blog I ever actually read. I went out of my way to read
No
it
More
because-
Blogs.
and I went out of my way to read it because I you know, I saw that as like, man, this is actually like pretty good. Because he was talking to me about it like when we met up one time, and he's a very nice guy. So it was just very cool to see other people's perspectives, and you know, this documentary really personified that, in my opinion. The different perspectives of the blog side of things and the vlog side of things, but obviously this episode was more toward the crossover aspect of things. But I really did enjoy that side of the story that isn't really told very often, and I think that a lot of those creators don't get a lot of credit for what they did actually put as the foundation of the Slenderverse, in my opinion. I think
I
that
agree
it
with
was, it was actually
character
very
growth. Alex Maddden is praising blogs.
No, and I'm right there
Wow.
with
in the
you
end.
too. Like
In the
I,
end,
No more blogs.
I really did.
but they were
enjoy- I
important.
was watching it. You know, I watched the first episode. So I do this with anime too. I watched this episode the week before to kind of get in the mindset of what the next episode is going to be. So I did that with this one too. And it really, going from 1 to 2, it still kind of maintained that aspect that all creators really mattered in this era. It wasn't just the vlogs. It really was both sides that made it such a big thing and such a big movement, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I really liked how it touched upon that type of stuff.
Well, I'm really glad you enjoyed that. You know, that was a huge
Yeah.
part of this, was I wanted to make sure that like we really captured, because it was an artistic movement. It wasn't just like a fun thing that happened on the internet. It was as I said, it was a revolution, right? Like it was a moment in time for just like hundreds of people to do, you know, not just vlogs, but also blogs and just tell their stories. And I mean, like there was the bickering and there was the no more blogs and whatever.
Of
but like,
course.
at the end of the
But-
day, like everyone came
Infighting.
together. Yeah.
100%. It
And
still
Go ahead,
it
Alex.
was all in jest. I I didn't actually mean like I hated blogs. I did think there was an oversaturation and a lack of motivation from some of these people. And I haven't put it the best way. They were just creating blogs, making one post, and then messaging Evan, saying, "Hey, Habit," And I'm sure he was just like this every time it happened. Just like, "Come on, man! Like, like."
Yeah.
You're not even trying. It was really, we really respected the people who actually put in the effort and tried. And I think that was a big part of the Slenderverse in general, is you had a community where you could get feedback from other creators, and I feel like that actually caused others to evolve in the process. I thought that was really good, because you noticed that some other series got better, like in general, after they joined the Slenderverse. In general, EMH, I would say us, we got better because we would start to edit with other people. We would get talk to Vinny about editing and stuff like that. I feel like there was some stuff that we asked that what they did, and I feel like that helped us grow as a series as well. We helped each other, and that was also a really big part of the Slenderverse as well.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I didn't realize the scope of everything until it's hard to say that like I didn't know, but I think when you're seeing things through the myopic lens of number one, nostalgia, number two, like through a documentarian's lens, I guess I didn't realize the scope, like how large the Slenderverse, like the actual creation part of it was. Like I knew that there were a lot of people who are like, oh, I also, have a blog. I also have a vlog. And, I did try to watch a good number of them. There are like some really, really small creators that I wish to this day would finish their series. And not to, I'll be honest, like, especially back in the day, I'd be like, okay, here's another person that's trying to like ask me to watch their series. There is a little bit of that because, it's just kind of like throwing things at you like, Heather, can you please see this? And it's just someone filming a door in the darkness and then 10101010 like flashing on the screen. I'm like, okay. All right. But no, you really captured how large the movement was, because I fucking know, even though like I did like how Chris was like, oh, Heather's like the de facto community leader. But even in that sense, I didn't even know, which is fascinating.
Yeah, I did actually, just to real quick, the second question just about Dark Harvest coming back. Yeah, I mean, like, it's surreal to be back. Actually, I literally have to thank Alex here for like literally revitalizing the Slenderverse. Because I think that I think between everyone sort of getting involved in this documentary, which has been going on for the past, like 18 months, something like that. That plus actually the Slender for Gender charity live stream that we did last year as well, where we all made promises to like finish our series if if we reach certain donation goals. And those goals were met. It was amazing. Shout out to Val and Kay from Hi, I'm Mary for putting that together. But yeah, like the past year, there's been a lot of like movement going on, and especially like in the past like month or whatever, like this is the time. Like there really is sort of like this renaissance in creation in the Slenderverse, in this sort of community, and so we've been working on Dark Harvest for 14 years now. It's really, really insane to think about, how long this has been a part of my life, in all of our lives. But I'm happy that now we are finally working on a finale that I know the ending to the series has been rewritten probably like a dozen times over the years.
Really?
Yes.
See,
Yes.
a dozen versions of the ending of Dark Harvest just on tap up here.
I can tell you about 8 of them.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it is-
after it's done, obviously, I have some questions.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, there were so many different endings. But I am really happy to say that, like, I've grown as a person over the years, grown as like an artist, I think, and I think that this version of the ending is going to be the best one, that we've had. So, I'm hoping that it's going to be, really impactful for a lot of people, really epic in scope, and really cool, really scary too, really spooky. So we're looking forward to doing that, and in fact we are literally shooting Sunday for the next episode, which will be out probably the end of July. Like we're trying to do at least one a month is what we're hoping for.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Speaking of spooky, Alex, you were very fantastic in our last video.
That is
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
You-
Talking about Maddden. I wasn't in the latest Dark Harvest video, to be clear.
Alex is trapped in a warehouse. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, I did absolutely love the final encounter of the latest Dark Harvest
Oh,
video.
man.
That was incredible. It's
I-
really insane to see it back.
I have to shout out as well, Alex, Maddden here, as like, my co-collaborator since, day 2. Like you really, like you are like a co-writer in addition to, being, one of the stars, because so many ideas over the years, like you just like would, we'd like riff back and forth and come up with, with these great ideas. And that final scene was Alex's idea, and I have to thank you for that, because it was I think it made the episode. It was so good.
Well,
think,
that's exactly what I said. I when we were talking on the phone after it came out, I was like, dude, I don't think the episode would have been what it was unless without your suggestions. But no, it was really, it's really nice to be back in the saddle again. Not only that, but like this is like the most active I've been involved in Dark Harvest, and as probably the most active I've seen like Marble Hornets since like 2013, 2014, it feels like. So it's been a while, and maybe I don't know, but it's really cool. Like we're filming so much. All my friends are like, hey, you want to hang out? It's summer. And I'm like, nah, I can't, I'm shooting. And they're like, oh, for what? And I'm like, Dark Harvest. And I've made a lot of new friends over the past few years, and they don't really know about the Dark Harvest stuff. Like if it does get brought up, it's like, oh, Heather made like a Slenderman series, and nobody understands what that is unless they have a concept of internet horror, ARGs, or whatever. So they're kind of like, oh wow, you have a YouTube channel. What's it called? And I'm like, I don't want to tell you.
You might see
But
murder
now-
on camera that that Twitch thinks is a snuff film. So
Exactly. Well, now you have
Yes.
2 whole documentaries to show them to explain it.
Yes.
So.
Well, that's
I
the
love
thing. It's like
that.
now
I
they
did
kind
a
of
son of that.
understand the scope, and I've got like one of my friends in here that I've made in the past couple of years, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm a part of like the internet horror community, and they're like, oh, you are. I'm like, I've been fucking trying to tell you for like 3 fucking years.
yeah.
Also, one thing I want to mention before I forgot. So I got a tattoo recently of a VHS tape that's just been broken, because I love lost media, all that sort of stuff. I actually have the blue. I actually have the green sticker that they used to put on rentals to signify it was horror. But I forgot about the no more tapes meme, and now I keep looking at it and I'm like, oh my fucking god. It's also kind of a Marble Hornets throwback. So now it's both like I love VHS, but it's now, because of all of this, I'm like, that's also the Slenderverse tattoo. So thanks, Alex.
That's awesome.
There you go.
That's very cool.
No
No,
more tapes.
Just in
more
time
tapes.
too for no more tapes.
I will say it's been so crazy to see the community like spring back to life these past couple of weeks. Like genuinely just a what, and it's really sinking in this week because I don't know why, but like a lot of stuff just seemed to kind of come to a head this week specifically. And like obviously I don't want to take too much credit for everything. People
You can take a really good chunk
Yeah,
of that.
you
people
take a
keep
good
giving
chunk.
me
Yeah,
credit,
no, for
and
real.
I'm like,
It's all you.
thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. So whatever part I had in bringing the Slenderverse back to life, I'm honored because that was kind of the intention in some ways. We were like, we didn't expect to do that when we were set out to make the documentary. We just wanted to archive it. But as we kind of went on and as we saw like creators that I had talked to starting to get excited about creating stuff and like telling me like, oh, talking to you made me excited, or talking to you made me want to talk to the other creators, and now I'm excited to make something. So like hearing that over the past couple months, and then in the past couple weeks seeing like not only some of the bigger like creators coming back, like obviously Dark Harvest sprung back up, and then all the docs are coming out at the same time. Marble
Happy
Hornets.
birthday, Marble Hornets.
Yeah, happy birthday, Marble Hornets. Like
It's today, right?
Yesterday.
Oh, it's yesterday.
And so that came back. I mean, like came back, right? Not like the series, but they like
Yeah.
sprung back up as for like a day as like a big community event. And also we're seeing like Val is teasing her new series, and we're seeing a lot of fans that are like talking about making series or literally just going out and making them in the past couple weeks. Like, so it seems like partially it's been this like perfect storm of like the bigger creators, like Dark Harvest, Marble Hornets, and I guess now me, kind of coming together and being like, okay, let's like post a bunch of Slenderman stuff because we're all excited about the Slenderverse. But then also like the community, just there's like some collective unconscious where everyone's like, it's time to bring back Slenderman. Like this is it. This is the time.
Not only
And
that,
then-
I'm like seeing ARGs pop up too,
Yeah.
like new ones. Like
That's
I was talking to Nick earlier today, and I was on TikTok, and like I delete TikTok from time to time just because I don't know, it's a time sink. But I was like finding really cool ARGs like that were just like being fed to me now. And I'm like, yes. And like it was really recent. I think like the channel started like a month ago. And it was like actually multi-platform. I'm like, they're doing it. The kids are doing it.
Yeah. No, we're so back. That's what I keep saying. Is like we're
so
I
back.
mean like in a general sense, like there's a lot of people who are like really looking for new like expressions of creativity and new unique types of art. Not just, I mean, we're seeing this in theaters and stuff with like actual movies. Like really unique films getting the spotlight in a way that I don't think we've really seen in the past decade. In like the last year or two, that's been happening way more. But even on the internet, like a lot of people seem to just be really yearning for like unique, interesting content and just like super creative expressions of like people's art and personalities. And so it's really nice to be able to see that both on a larger scale and especially in the Slenderverse all kind of coming back around. It's been really cool.
Hell
We
yeah.
do
I
have
totally agree.
we do have 10 minutes here, so I want to get to at least one
Oh my
audience
God.
question. 'Cause we
Wow,
have,
we
we have
really blew
gone.
through the time
Oh,
slot.
Damn it.
Yeah, well, this
We
is
could
the
chat
thing.
for hours.
But I
Dylan's
do.
just gonna have to fucking deal with it.
Yeah, stay in your box, Dylan. We're gonna need some more time.
Oh my god.
Poke it with a stick.
I do want to like ask a couple. So there's one question that I'm going to ask that is definitely me being like, "Hi Lee, you exist and you make amazing series, and I'd like to get
Hey,
you
thanks.
to talk."
We love you, Lee.
Oh, it's cool.
But first question
love you,
from
Lee. We
Oakside
miss you.
Park is Oakside Park ? Second question from Oakside Park is, and their question is what would the what was the best rake portrayal in any of the Slenderverse in you all's opinions? I will broaden that out and say, what is your favorite just general monster character, etc. in the Slenderverse? But if you all want to
that's
just,
a good question.
I can say what my favorite rake is, and it is Lee's rake. So I figure that's everybody's
thank you.
choice.
Thank
but
you.
Oh,
I am
that's
there with-
easy, hands
yeah.
down.
yeah,
That's very kind of y'all. I appreciate that. That's very nice.
I mean, like, look, EMH's rake, it's cool. It's all like, spooky and shit. But Lee's rake is like, it's so spindly and weird. Like, something about it.
that's
gets
just
under my
me. That's
skin.
just my
Lee's
body.
spindly
That's just
little
who my
body.
body is. I'm just,
Lee.
What I'm
I'm just
trying
a
to say
wiry
is-
boy.
Exactly. I'm trying to say, Lee, you are spindly and weird. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's,
Yeah.
You're
Lee.
correct on both counts.
Lee, you're so good at contorting your body in weird, fucked up ways that are just very spooky to look
Yeah,
at. And
Lee,
we
you
want
really
you on a
freak me
live
out.
stream to compliment you for
Thanks,
it.
guys. Oh, you're all being so nice to me.
No, favorite
Stop
monster
it.
portrayal in the Slenderverse.
But my favorite portrayal, I mean, I really do like EMH's, specifically the one that you like included the footage of in the documentary where they shot like up in it was like Jim Thorpe or wherever.
It was Jim Thorpe.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one. I like specifically like, you know, there's certain stills from that video that you still see if you Google like the rake and stuff. So I think that's neat. And then as far as like favorite monster, I don't know, I've never really been like, I ironic coming from me, but I've never really been big on including like other creepypasta monsters in this stuff. Not to say don't do it, just it's never been my thing. My favorite has always been actually these lovely folks' portrayal of Slenderman. The whole Goraleotep thing I think is such a cool take on the character, and also lends to some of the most like unsettling Slenderman appearances in all of it. I think like there's like, you know, the walking bit, which I do think looks really cool, and the bit in, was it Greg's final log?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I that is one of my favorite, like that's one of my all-time favorite Slenderman appearances, period.
I am so right there with you. Weighing in as the documentarian, Dark Harvest, best Slenderman.
Oh, wow. Well,
Heard it
thank
here
you. That's-
first.
I agree with that.
You heard it here
And
first,
listen,
folks.
and you are
So-
the Slenderman expert, so I appreciate it.
Exactly.
Well, hey, listen. So we've got
You're
the
mixed
best
Slenderman.
Slenderman and the best rakes all in one group here. Hell
Oh,
yeah!
wow, look at that.
Now, why was
No,
the other stream getting so many views? We got all the best.
Exactly. The best people are here. The special shout out to Valeria Santiago and Stan Frederick.
Yes.
The seed eaters in Stan
Yes.
Frederick
Yes.
have always like stuck out to me as really,
Yeah.
really cool. Love
Yes.
that. Love that.
Okay, fun fact too. There's a lost Seed Eater arc of Dark Harvest that we never
Mhm.
filmed.
Really?
This is true. Yep.
I remember you
Cool.
telling me about this back in the day.
Chris, we got to talk about this at some point.
Sure.
I remember that. That
Yeah.
was weird.
High praise.
Yeah.
I'll take
That's
that
a cool
clip
premise.
forever.
It's very creepy though. Like in a sense, I remember it's like
Yeah.
very strange. But we had a lot of different. I think, if I remember correctly, I think we were like saying like visually, like getting someone to dress up as the Seed, or it didn't make sense for a story or something
Well,
like
it was
that.
it was gonna be difficult. I remember we ran
Like
into
way too
difficulties.
difficult. Yeah, it's just like
This was a
Cool
while
premise,
ago
but
too. This was back in like 2013, I think, is when
Yeah,
we
it
were toying with
was
that
so, like,
idea.
Part
long
two.
ago. Long
Part
time
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, do we have any more time for another audience question?
We do.
Ooh,
We
yes.
absolutely
Yes.
do. So trying to pick like the best of what we've got here. This one comes from Chris Trauma, which is
Hey!
which came first.
Chris is one of the people that was in the tiny chat video.
You know that guy? Well, you
do.
guys do. I know of him.
Well, it's a perfect question to ask then. Which came first, the horror filmmaking or the breaking into abandoned buildings?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Well, for me, it was the filmmaking.
They kind
Actually,
of go
yeah,
hand in hand, don't they?
Yeah. They
What
really
about you,
do.
Alex? What do you think?
they do. Well, because like I think that obviously some people are into like urbex and stuff, and they just
Sure.
do that. But I definitely we started doing it because we wanted cool locations,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
to-
I was
to
actually
keep it
talking to
free.
Val about that this morning. I was like, I was specifically saying how like for this final arc of Whispered Faith, I'm keeping it like fairly minimal location wise. And I'm like, yeah, it's not cute when I commit crimes anymore. It's just illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder to say, oh, we're doing this for a college project.
Yeah, once you
You
get
didn't
past
know
like the
any
age of
better. I'm just a
25.
little guy.
Once the bags get a little bit like, darker
we
in
is
color,
cute.
it's getting a little harder.
Yeah.
I'm
So
cute,
good.
officer. Don't arrest me.
Yeah, guys,
Oh,
he is
officer,
cute. Like, you can get away with
don't
it.
do it.
You like hire one college student to just stand outside of the shoot location.
That sounds weird. I will say it did work when we filmed the Princeton video. It did help. I got away with it.
No, I mean, to be fair, no one even cared when we were shooting the like to a concerning degree.
No, I mean the
Nobody.
first scene when we go back to the Rainwood Day Camp,
Okay.
It was, yeah. So across the street, I actually knew who it was. He didn't remember who I was, but he was, it's an empty lot now, and a lot of people tend to go onto that lot, and they used to break into the day camp. I wonder why. So he's a little suspicious. So he comes up to us, and he's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing over there?" Pretty much just saying like, "Hey, get the fuck out of here." I'm like, "Oh,
I was like,
no."
Heather, you talk to him.
Yeah, no, I was like, I got this. I'm like, "Oh, we're just doing because it was right next to a college as well, so we could kind of justify." We're like, "Oh, sorry, we're just like filming here, like blah 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 blah," and he's like, "Okay," and I just saw him like pretending to water his flowers for about 25 minutes. So I'm like, yeah, pretty much, he had his eye on us, but like we didn't do anything. We were just like walking around.
No, I was referring to the part where you murdered Vinny on Princeton campus and no one batted an eye.
Blood everywhere. No one cared.
Yeah.
That is upsetting to me in hindsight because, man, campus security.
Yeah, not there. Not there.
Not there.
Yeah,
I mean,
concerning.
I didn't go to a 4-year college, so I don't really understand, but oof. That
Lesson
one was
learned, if
like,
you're
I was
being-
scared for the students, not myself. Let's
No,
just put it
exactly.
that way.
Lesson
police
learned,
are
if you're
only ever
being
where you
chased by a
don't want
cult
them.
on college, if you're being chased by a cult on college campus, you're screwed. Don't worry, like you're done.
Yeah.
That's it. No,
Game over.
unrelated anecdote though about the day camp.
GG.
I don't know if anyone else laughs at this, but out of all the jokes in the documentary, one of my favorites is when Heather says, "Yeah, it's basically our fault that the day camp gets knocked down," and immediately cut to Chris in the video going, "There used to be a huge building right here." It makes me laugh every time.
I just remember like Chris and I were watching it together on Discord, the live stream, and I was like, did I just fucking incriminate myself?
Yes. No.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure.
There's this thing called statute of
cares.
limitations, so I think we're
Like a
good.
decade.
Also,
You
I
didn't
think
say
we've
anything
learned-
in the dates.
We've learned
Yeah.
no one cares. You know, you
Also,
can just.
That's
Also
also
that.
true, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
let's
yeah.
I
one
will
thing
just go
I-
on record is like the documentary is just unfiction. It's not, none of it's real. I don't know what you guys are talking
That's
about.
true,
Th-
yeah.
This is all
We're playing
in
there. It's
game,
all,
guys.
yeah, it's all in game.
This
yeah.
is out of game.
Yeah.
That's in
So-
game. I don't know what you
Immersion.
guys are-
I would really quickly, I would like to take a page from Chris, your wife's book, and ask our two lovely hosts a question.
Ooh.
This is a good time for me to turn off my
So
camera.
Alex and Rain, if each of you were a sauce, what kind of sauce would you be?
We're really getting to like the heart of like really deep, meaningful conversations.
This is how you get to know people.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
no.
It's true.
Let's see. Oh,
Sauce?
Sauce.
Yeah,
What's a
sauce.
Yeah, sauce.
This is Savannah's classic question.
There's so
yeah,
many.
it's a good
so many
icebreaker question,
options.
genuinely.
I don't know, cause like my favorite is like barbecue sauce, but I don't know if I would be barbecue sauce. See, like
I
this
can
is
see
a,
Sure.
barbecue sauce.
this is what's going on in my mind.
Barbecue sauce personified.
I don't think I am barbecue sauce personified. Just, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but like that, I feel like I don't scream barbecue sauce.
No, you don't.
So I'm thinking
That
maybe like
implies
maybe
a
like a
sweetness
honey.
you will never achieve.
Wow, I was gonna say honey mustard, but all right.
No, I'm just being a douche. You can be whatever sauce you want. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of the Slenderverse.
Why I love this
Kids
question.
at home, you can be whatever sauce you want to be.
There's no barrier of entry for being sauce.
There is no
True.
gate to be a sauce.
What about you, Rain? I'm curious.
Oh, don't
Yeah.
no. Oh God. I mean,
Yeah,
what
come on,
qualifies
we need
as a
an answer.
sauce?
Oh my god.
Anything in the condiment aisle.
Yeah.
Anything the condiment.
Salsa technically counts.
Cool. Oh no.
Oh, you know what? I don't know what it's called. I changed my answer. It's that like green one you get at taco places where it's like it's very fresh. It's got like herbs in it and spicy.
Salsa verde?
Ooh, okay.
I don't know.
Verde?
Yes, that's what it is. Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes, I
so
can respect-
tomatillos, yeah.
I was Lexi, for you, I was gonna say something Szechuan, but I also respect that.
Mhm.
That's a good one.
Okay,
I love salsa
Rain, your
verde.
turn.
This is,
It's hard. It is
it's
hard.
annoyingly
It is a
difficult.
difficult question.
So this is not the answer that anyone's looking for, but it is the most me answer, which is I am the fucking Alfredo sauce I keep failing to make in my own kitchen. All right, because I keep trying to make my own Alfredo, and Leia can be
Alfredo's
testament
good.
to this. I keep fucking it up somehow, and it comes out mostly like kind of weirdly just as spiced Parmesan. And I'm like a decent cook, but for some reason this just keeps happening. I don't know. I've fundamentally misunderstood how Alfredo works, and I think that and
Something about the phrase
sums that
spiced
up.
Parmesan just made me laugh. I don't know why that was funny to me, but it was.
It sounds kind of appetizing. Like, I don't know.
It's just the notion. Well, it does until you consider the fact that they're talking about a sauce,
Yeah, that's true. Like,
and then it
liquid
suddenly
spiced
becomes much less
Parmesan.
appetizing. No offense, I don't mean
No,
to insult
it's
your
correct.
cooking. It's more just...
Look, I understand my limitations. My biggest failure in the kitchen ever, which is, again, this is not the Red Cooking Podcast, but here you go. Here's information you don't need. Is that one time I bought some pizza dough, the only time I have ever bought pre-made pizza dough in my life, and I stretched it way too thin, and the person who was eating it after it was cooked cut the inside of their cheek on it and has a scar there to this day.
Oh no!
That
You know,
is
it's
dangerous.
possible.
Wow.
I made
Deadly
a pizza
pizza dough.
knife. So that's
Pizza knife.
I've never made
Alex.
worse food than that.
I want a pizza knife.
Alex, it's pizza time.
Um,
Pizza time, Alex.
So
So yeah, my cooking is
Real
questionable
quick.
sometimes.
real quick, and then I know you got several people waiting in the other panel, so I'll
Got
let
another
we
panel.
should
You're
probably
getting
let you do that. But real quick, and this is just going to be without context, but this is for Val because Val just texted me this, and I'm not going to give, like I said, I'm not going to give any context to this, but I know a couple of you will understand.
Oh god.
Val just said, "I just remembered, quote, shut the fuck up, Dante."
Heather knows.
Oh my god, the amount of memes that I made about there was this one person in the Slenderverse group. Their name was Dante. I haven't spoken to them since 2013 or 2014. God damn it. Just every time that they talked, it wasn't even like they were saying anything egregious. I just thought it was funny because, like, you gotta understand, it was like edgelord internet era. So like every time they were talking, I'm like, just shut the fuck up, Dante, because I had discovered the Big Lebowski.
I just always joked that, because the thing is, whenever Dante came on Tiny Chat, they never had a shirt on, and I was always just like, did Dante ever learn how to put on a shirt?
Yeah, I hope Dante found their shirt and
Shout out Dante, I
in the
hope
last
you're well.
decade.
I hope you're doing well.
I think I talked to them like
Jackpot.
kind of recently, like 4 years ago. I think we were talking on Instagram. I'm like, and I think they're doing all right.
No, it's funny. You
That's
said
good.
that, and I was like, "Do I know this person?" Because like I
No.
know. No. I know because I know so many names from the creators group, and I went through the archives, and I was like, maybe.
It's possible. If they still have a Facebook, it's possible.
It's good to know 50-50 shot that if I need to like get you to take me seriously randomly, Lexi, I can just pretend to be someone else and message you. I was in the creator group, and you'll be like, "Do I know you?"
Until Dylan nukes it.
Yeah, until Dylan nukes it and blames me.
Yeah.
Apparently, we'll talk about that soon.
Is that why Dylan's in a box?
I'm telling.
He's
I'm telling- he's
we've
got
been
the
trying to
best
get him to nuke
opportunity.
it for years.
Yeah, it's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Never gonna do it.
All right.
Never gonna
Always
do it.
Well,
Right, Dylan? You're never gonna do it.
you know, I'll talk him down. I think his finger is on the button right now, so we should probably go talk to him and make sure. So
Yes.
that's our time for this panel. Thank you all so much for being here. This was a blast. Loved this.
Of
Loved this
course.
discussion. And
Thank you.
I hope
I
hope-
thank you so much for
I'm
including us and for the
honored.
documentary
I'm so
overall.
fucking honored.
Of course.
I am looking forward to hopefully talking to all of you at some point in the future.
I'm still on audio here. I just want to show off. We have 2 intermission tiles, so you guys are going to see both of our amazing intermissions, audience. Now I'm going to mute.
We're live.
Yes?
We're live.
Yes.
Welcome back to Out of Game.
Great.
We have a surprise
30
guest, in case you didn't notice already. Valeria Santiago's here.
Hi.
So
Hello.
that wasn't announced, but she's here.
I literally just messaged Alex like 10 minutes ago, like, "Hey, put me in, coach." Fucking
And I was like, fuck yeah. So now she's here.
hello.
So yes, welcome back to Out of Game. We have special guests, our new panel, Marissa, Austin, Dylan, Gio, the Jesus of the Creators group, as I like to keep saying because it's a funny phrase, and Valeria Santiago, of course. That is our panel. Thank you all for being here.
Hi,
it
my
does
name
hurt.
is Marissa. It is midnight on the East Coast. It's late at night. I did Tulpa Effect. Also, my 3 qualifiers that I want everyone to accept because I'm self-assigning them are Scream Queen, I guess Mom of the Slenderverse. Thank you very much for those that said it. Also, I want to be known as the ancient aliens guy in the documentary, please.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Real. Who, Dylan, I feel like introducing myself before Dylan introduces himself is rude. Like, specifically, like Dylan, go ahead, please. Who are you?
I'll
And
go
I
first.
think that's insane.
I'll go
I've had
first.
it out. Yeah.
Am I going? Okay. Hi.
You gotta go now.
I'm Valeria Santiago, and I created Stan Frederick, which is the Deadpool of the Slenderverse, apparently.
Fantastic.
That's a good title, man.
It
You
sounds
know,
cool. It wasn't the
you know.
point, but it sounds cool.
Hi.
I would just like to say, Val, it is nice to see you.
It's
Especially
been a minute. It
Yeah.
has been a minute.
Yeah.
I ever since like kind of falling out of the creators group, just generally speaking, just not really like interacting with it much. I haven't heard from y'all in a minute, so it's like it's cool to see you guys again. It's really good to see you guys.
Again, we called it Myimmersion Reloaded for a reason.
Hi
Nice
guys,
intro.
I'm Dylan. It's a good way to start, and I got the cat here. So.
Hell yeah, Eddie.
I thought you just said Dylan.
Eddie
That
Dean,
was
he's
it.
my little guy. But my name's Dylan Sindelar, and I'm co-creator of ML Anderson, or the Anderson Journals, with Austin Harris, wherever he might be on your screen.
I'm Austin Harris, and I am also a co-creator of ML Anderson
Hell yeah.
with Dylan Sindelar.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, I was
Gio,
confused.
Your full names.
Yeah,
Okay,
I should
also-
probably. What?
I do want to point out that while I was rewatching this second episode with the fam, I was like, everyone, when Dylan's on screen, keep an eye out on where the cat is in the
Eddie Dean.
background.
Always on screen. Every single time, I swear to God. That the cat is always there and I love it.
Eddie Dean, baby. Just
I worked from home for a little bit, and he became the mascot of our work team because he decided to, crash every
Hell,
single meeting here.
No, he was just
Great.
crawling around everywhere, like all over the room. Like you have to literally, it's like where's Waldo every time you come on
He's
screen.
crazy
I
little
love
guy.
it. He's crazy.
He
little
knows
guy.
his frame too. He's got great comedic timing. I'm proud of the guy.
Hi, I am Gio Kraska. I,
Yes.
for a time, was helping a legitimate person that existed named Leo or Leonardo Kraska with his vlog, The Dead Are Watching, which is actually still online. Most of the episodes are online. I think the ones that aren't online are ones that he uploaded with me, and because my character nothing ever came of it, and it never really finished, I think he just removed me, which is fine.
Also, can you please side introduce as Punkster?
Of course.
Is that more recognizable?
I don't know.
I think that
Iconic.
Punkster was an extremely ubiquitous participant.
Oh, I think I know what Marissa's getting at. Before I joined the Slenderverse creators group and then took it over like the mad tyrant that I am, before Theral, although I'm pretty sure Theral was doing it the same time as me, I would watch and read everything on Unfiction. I'm not even shitting you. Like, if you have a backup of that forum, I remember the owner of the forum made me a custom title just for me. I think I'm one of the few that has a custom title that wasn't a mod. It was Die Hard, Try Hard.
I've seen
That's
that going back
incredible.
through the old Wayback Machine. I didn't realize who that was. Now I have a frame
Yeah,
of reference.
you're in the room with a celebrity, right?
I am.
No.
Crazy.
An unfiction celebrity.
The original Tryhard.
That does lead me to a question I would like to ask to you, Gio. Could you recount the story of the Slenderverse creators group takeover?
Oh god.
Not in too much length, but you know, I would like to hear it from the man
Oh
himself.
my god.
If it becomes an epic,
Alex,
it
how
becomes
dare
an
you.
epic. I've given up.
There you go.
So here's the thing that I was telling Marissa was like, dude, you guys got to help me pull out some memories because this feels like a fever dream to me. Like it truly feels like a fever dream. Like Marissa was like, "Hey, you want to do this?" And I was like, "I did something with this. I was a part of this thing. Wow. What did? Oh, I was Jesus." And then I removed all the mods, and then everyone was mad at me, except for the people that were not mad at me. Okay, let me kind of explain
It's
basically.
just like Jesus.
Let me explain to you why I did what I did. The Facebook Slenderverse creators group, it was just getting a little too unfun. When I joined, and until I took over, it was genuinely just a shitload of fun. Like it was just me getting drunk every night, going on Tiny Chat, and then while we were in Tiny Chat, we would post memes in the group. No one knew what the fuck we were talking about because they were very specific and jokes from Tiny Chat. And then that just lasted for so many months. And I'm
You make
waiting
it-
on like a visual I want like nodding from Marissa to like encourage me to keep going.
I'm sorry. I started
You're
reading
getting
the
it
chat.
right.
I'm so sorry. No,
all
you're
I
right.
will
I'm
say
sure
is
that like literally your description is correct because my memory of it was that it was like extremely cataclysmic. There was a lot of feelings involved, and like rightfully, I'm not trying to be dismissive of like this was like a very intensive part of many people's lives, and Gio was literally sitting on the sidelines like, oh dang. Oh no, and then was like, I don't know what to do about this, and I'm watching it happen, and then I think just in the middle of the night was straight up like, I'm just gonna like prevent this big drama by erasing everyone but me because I am the one who doesn't want it, and everyone else like wants it so
don't want
hard.
I think I was in
so,
school,
like-
and the next day you texted me like, "Here's what I did." In between classes, like, all right, I guess. I'm with you.
there was at least 8 mods, and then me or something, and most of them didn't like the blase. I would say correctly, sometimes hurtful. Schadenfreude that some people in the group partook in, and they started literally kicking people from the group that were legitimate creators. All the mods were just on the same page. They didn't like certain people that were creators, and they were very selective and picky about like the behavior, how we should act. And I just thought, it was a little sudden, and maybe the people should have a choice. So naturally, I did what any person of the people would do. I get
Any communist would do.
You became a tyrant, of course.
Scorched earth, the only policy.
The most democratic policy there is.
Tyranny.
The U.S. government would say so, yes.
Yeah. Nothing says democracy like being the only freaking admin of the group.
Well,
Nothing
I
says
would just like to
democracy like absolute power. Yeah.
I would like to take this moment to announce to everybody that thanks to Marissa, I have just actually been made an admin of the Slenderverse Creators Group.
Congratulations, Val!
Welcome to the
And my
team.
first action as admin.
Remove Dylan immediately. Do you know his
This
face
is ridiculous. I have my finger on the trigger. Don't you
I'm
fucking
gonna nuke it all.
Dylan, don't nuke the group. You can't nuke the group.
My first decree as
button
admin
stays
is I'm
with
going to
me,
make it a
all right?
public group and anybody can join.
No,
as
no.
is my.
No,
You are
As-
going to.
have to delete all
Do you
of
remember
the
when we
rules
did that and
before.
it didn't
There's-
go well?
I don't.
There
I
are-
don't. I don't remember
There are-
anything.
let's see what
when I
happens.
was-
But I
Even-
said 14 years ago, please delete everything.
Even
really have
even
the
as an outsider who went into that group, I know there are things there that need to remain buried. As an outsider, I can say that, and I know that.
Look, the right to forget is a real thing, and also we have 2 people going nuclear in opposite directions.
Hashtag mute the group, Val. It's happening. It's happening.
And so, like, in the documentary, like, talking about this group chat and, like, the gatekeeping involved with it, and, like, how it was not actually gatekeeping, and it was just, like, literally a bunch of, like, goblins goblining in the dark, and that one of the things that I kept wondering was just, like, why didn't anybody just, like, start another one? Why didn't anyone just, like, start one that's, like, people who are actively making things instead of these, like, goblins that are, like, crawling into crevices who, like, cannot and will not help you? Like, y'all are actually doing something different and deserve the co-support of each other and should just, like, and maybe don't make it on Facebook because that's apparently full of grandparents now. Like, do a different one. You can find each other in a different place. Unfiction doesn't exist, but, like, there's so many other options. I don't know. Like, just build a new thing instead of trying to, like, resurrect an ancient evil.
Let it rest.
Like, a new space to do that wouldn't be a terrible idea.
Well, you know,
And
I think
can't believe that no one has.
I think some people have tried. I mean, I think some people here are aware of the so-called Slenderverse Gen 3, which I don't want to get into too in depth because that's a whole can of worms.
That's next
But
week.
that was a thing for some time, and I know there were pretty active Discord groups and forums and things surrounding that. And eventually it did kind of crash and burn. But there was a couple years there where, you know, some people had some spaces for that. So I guess it did kind of happen, and it's not a thing anymore, but maybe it could be again. Who knows?
I didn't even know about it, to be honest. I didn't know about that until you just mentioned it, but...
What, Gen 3 in general?
Bro, literally,
Yeah,
I would assume that you were Gen 3.
You know, I don't know what Gen 3, like, what criteria they chose to call themselves Gen 3.
The whole wave thing kind of got a little muddy after a point anyway.
You know, I don't want to get into this too much, but do you know how many times, like, during my research, I found, like, someone trying to organize the waves of the Slenderverse, like, into, like, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And it's, like, 12 different versions of that. And it's, like, these aren't coherent. Like, which one do I trust? None of them is the answer.
Currently, we're up to, like, either wave 9 or wave, like, 37. It truly, I have no idea anymore, like, where we're at. Like, there's new people, like, wanting to make series now, like, every other day, and it's just like, where do they even fit? Does it matter? I don't really...
Can we just start going by, like, years or something? Can we just say this is, like, year 15? Can we do that?
Year
That's so much
15
easier.
The year thing might be
so much
a better
easier
model, honestly.
Year 15, like, it's so cut and dry. No one can refute that.
You know, if the question is what is it responsive to, then that's a different question than, like, where does it exist in alignment with other contemporary works, which I get the impulse to organize in that way, because it's a very, like, you know, for the way that people organize art movements generally, culturally, it makes sense. But also it makes sense if you're looking at something and going, well, we want this to feel, you know, reminiscent of prior times, but also, like, legitimate in a way, right? Because suddenly you're working in a body of what other people are doing and not just out on your own and God knows where. But yeah, I don't know. Look, there's a lot I could say about it, I think, which is maybe not the point of this after show at all. But, like, I do just want to have said that as much as I appreciate that people are out there making new stuff, the gen thing, like the generation thing, I don't know, the nomenclature just, I can't. Like, I will be so kind to the artists, but not the nomenclature of generations. That's just a personal nitpick.
I mean, like, it's like you're also working with multiple versions of, like, what a generation is, so to speak, like, working against each other. You have, like, older creators and younger creators, like, making stuff at the same time, and it's like, and so it's like we're separating it into literal, like, age generations and also just, like, generation of creation. It just stops making sense to organize it that way.
Yeah, and I think, like, at least what I've seen is that it's drawing from the vernacular by which we talk about, like, consoles, essentially, which also makes sense in the gaming culture side of it, but does not make sense in the art movement side of it. And so, like, you know, never in look, I'm just going to say this PSA for any of you in the audience who are thinking about doing a graduate degree. Don't be me right now. Don't ever be me. Don't be the scholar who's in the room like, yeah, let me tell you how to name your shit. That never goes well. I am actively throwing myself to the wolves right now, and you should not do this. That being said, this is my opinion as an outsider who should not have an opinion. They can call it a movement whatever they want.
Who's in your background? What are they doing? What are they doing in your background right now? I need to know. These are important questions.
This lovely
Who is
human
that?
being? Leia, would you come over here?
What are they doing?
No, Leia will not come over here. This is Play Scholar. This is our one of our moderators, and also my roommate and best friend.
I would like for us to conclude the moderator story real quick because we do have many other questions.
Yes.
But I would like to know, Gio, if you do remember, how did the No More Blogs election turn out in the end? Because, you know, it gets a little muddy as to what actually happened at the end of that.
Do you see any blogs, Alex?
Well, you know, I guess it's true.
God damn it.
You know, I haven't seen very many blogs lately. Huh? I wonder why.
Apparently bullies.
I feel like
Apparently bullies took
sorry.
over.
I'm sorry.
Apparently the try-hard bullies took the fuck over.
so. The period after I assumed control, and then eventually just said, "Hey, I should probably just let someone else take this from me, and I'll move on with my life for 10 years and disappear." It was a blur. I did try, and literally every issue, I messaged every person in the group, and I got a response from every person. I try to do it as democratically as possible, and that was tiring. And then I realized I'm just not cut out for this. That's basically what happened. And when it came to the election, who knows? You know, some say that, you know, I don't know. I mean, are blogs still, you know, being made today? Like, can anyone prove that or disprove that? I mean, I don't know. Like, what was the effect of Alex Maddden on the psyche? Like, even if he didn't win,
let me stop my dissertation. I got a new idea.
Like, even if he didn't win, didn't he still win?
He destroyed our spirits.
Alex Maddden took a sledgehammer to the collective consciousness, and blogging ceased to exist.
Yeah, there are no more blogs because of Alex Maddden. He did it.
It just was so funny to me because, like, actually, as a human, like, Alex is such a, like, sweet and thoughtful and, like, not dramatic person. And the fact that he was, like, the face of this drama is this, like, extra layer of why it was funny. And it was funny, but, like, now the, like, historical artifacts of it just, like, make him look like a dick. But the reality is that he was like this very low key, chill, like.
I happen to know he paid a heavy toll at the Sham House by way of a baseball bat from Vinny. Wait, was no one else here?
Are you admitting on stream that you?
I didn't need context.
Go on.
Yeah, wait, are you admitting on stream that you beat Alex Maddden with a baseball bat? Is that what's happening?
Austin, you were there.
I didn't see anything.
Incriminate yourself, Austin.
I was not there mentally. All right, I was locked into my games.
Oh yeah, you played League of Legends all the time, right?
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
like literally the joke was like at the Sham House that Austin was just like part of the fucking console, but like also there would be like
I didn't know that
people
was the
coming
joke.
in and out, and he would not miss a single fucking thing that was like said in that fucking living room, but he looked unfazed the whole time, but it was like all of the information was downloading at him all of the time, and then he would just like turn around super unexpectedly and have some witticism. And you would be like, "Who's that? Who's in the corner listening this whole time?"
I had to keep my words short, but when they were spoken, it made an impact.
Absolutely.
He's just part of the room. So we've gotten to the end of the moderator story. So let's ask our first question of the panel.
Yeah, what did you think of the doc?
What did you think of the
We're
documentary?
doing great on time, guys. Great on time.
It's literally what I think all of the creators wanted to see that never happened for over a decade. We all wanted to see. Well, I say we, dude. I have serious imposter syndrome. More like the other creators really just they wanted people to give it the justice or the attention or the recognition that they felt they deserved when the games came out, when, it became a pop culture meme. We're like, wait, we put so much energy into this. We're not asking for a lot, but I mean, you're not giving us shit. So this hurts. And you gave it to us or to them. I don't know. But thank you.
You're included in this. You are allowed to be included. Yes. No, and I mean that was that was a huge part of why I wanted to make the documentary is like it sounds a little like maybe grandiose, but it was like to set the record straight about Slenderman, right? Like we had like we it's this 15 years of internet history, and like you look at the way people talk about it online, and it's like they don't even scratch the surface. They're like something awful forums, maybe marble hornets, video game stabbing. That's it. That's the whole history. 15 years? Like no, not true. And like the way people perceive Slenderman in like 2023 when I started it was like, oh, that weird old internet meme from that video game that also like caused some crimes. Like, and I mean that's just it's an injustice to what the Slenderverse was.
It's one of the reasons. Alex, you remember you guys? I don't know who's seen it, but I did a second essay after Art for Everyone, Slenderman 2018 about the movie, and I basically went through like a really quick history of Slenderman, where I really tried to make sure I highlighted the stuff between Marble Hornets and Slender, because the Slenderverse so constantly kind of was put on in the background for that. So like it was nice to be able to highlight that, and now to see this documentary, which is a way better, more comprehensive, more fully rounded version of that essay, where it's like you got every little detail in there, and it's like I'm happy to say that I'm so glad that 2018 video is obsolete now comparatively. Thank you for making it so. It's truly a great work.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It was just not only an injustice to the character, but to the Slenderverse, because it's like, you have so many fascinating things to talk about, and it's the story about, like, the internet in the early 2010s, and it's the story about this community and these relationships, and this way they built mythology in a way that had literally never been done before on the internet. And, so it's like, these not only is it like an interesting story, it's a revolutionary story. Like it's a genuinely like one of a kind story, and everyone's like, who cares? And I'm like, what?
I've been saying that for years. I'm like, guys, how is everyone not more excited about this?
Literally, it's a singular. I think Marissa says this in the documentary. It's a singular opportunity, like literally never before or since, and everyone's just like, eh. So I'm very glad I got to set the record straight.
Dylan, what did you think of the documentary?
Yeah, Dylan.
It was alright. I mean,
it was alright. That's fair.
I've been talking to Marissa quite frequently about this over the last few weeks because I think it's a phenomenal documentary. It's also like was more uncomfortable to watch than like fucking any horror movie I think I've ever watched. It like. There's so much, and I'm going to try to put this concisely, which is not my forte, but it's so interesting to have been a part of something where the goal was to blur the line between fiction and reality. And then I think these friendships that sprung from that also started kind of like, we're just people who make shit. And then it became something very, very deep. And like, for me at least, that's legitimately half my life at this point that has been a part of this, and it's so fucking insane, frankly. I don't know that anyone else I've talked to in the group about this is like has the same sort of panic set in thinking about it, and alongside excitement, except Marissa maybe, but panic in that like my history, like 50% of my friends and people in my life, stemmed from something fictional and something that's something so weird that I don't even like. I still don't know how to explain it properly. Even with 6 hours of a fucking documentary, it still sounds insane. We moved halfway across the country because we met some people that like made a spooky little YouTube series. Like that's nuts.
That was you, Austin. You did that.
We both agreed, yeah. To move in with those guys, yeah.
But no, it's never gonna happen again. And I the only thing I know, it had been tossed around our group, like what it felt like this whole thing being made was someone making like a high school yearbook about the whole thing. But like, I don't know, man. It's more than that. It's like if you had your fingers. Your high school is very small, and you had like your fingers in every little click in some capacity. Like it's insane. So that's how I dealt with it, I guess. It's just so expansive because, you know, like you'll see one frame that you hold on for like a blog post, but then somewhere deep in my brain I was like, oh, I remember that blog. I remember that blog post. I was probably in Austin's room reading that on my laptop on the futon behind him while he was raiding in WoW on the computer. Like it's just every piece to that. There's like a flip of a coin that's gonna like just poke your brain in something that goes in 100 different directions at once because it is so like integral to my life, and like inextricable at this point. It's and it's also an internet meme, so that's rad.
Okay.
Thank you for giving so much time and space to me talking about Theral.
Of course.
Well, yes.
I'm very glad I got to talk to you about it, because I remember the first person I messaged when I learned of Theral was Val, and I got the truncated explanation, the brief explanation. And then I talked to you, and I got the full explanation. I was like, oh, this is a good story.
Didn't I even say in our interview, Alex, I was like, talk to Marissa. Like,
you told me to talk to Marissa. Yes.
Be sure you talk to Marissa about this.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Yeah. I knew. I knew like at least like to that extent, like how much Marissa just not just knew about Theral like specifically, but just about the wider community stuff. So I was just like, make sure Marissa's in this, please, because. Yeah.
Well, and I think like one of the things that I don't mention in the documentary is that there was a bunch of shade like thrown at him because I think he was in his 40s. And like it was really dominated by people in their like early 20s and teenagers and shit. And like there were vlogs that were like not big or popular that were people who were in their late 20s, in their 30s. And so what I was like seeing more of was like people being like, this guy's like weird and old and shouldn't be here. And I was like, I'm weird and old. Should I not be here?
I fucking loved it. I loved like Theral's Theral's whole presence, like especially in the tiny chat stuff. Like obviously he was all over Unfiction and he was always commenting on our stuff in Unfiction. But when we would actually all hang out in tiny chat and you'd actually get to hear him just talk about the stuff and hear how passionate he was about the stuff. Like Stan Frederick BTS, when I was making it, I was 16, 17 and just like throwing shit together. And the way he talked about it, like for one of the first times ever in like my experience in the group, I actually felt validated in my art for a minute. Like it felt like somebody was watching something and actually cared about the developments I was making, even if I was throwing stuff at the wall. Like Theral felt like a genuine like fan, like just of Slenderverse stuff, and was at like actually just engaging with it in a way that like I wasn't used to as a 17-year-old. Especially because, again, since I was on the younger side, I was comparing myself a lot to you guys, you know, since you guys were older creators, and I felt like I wasn't as legitimate in that space for a bit. And here comes along Theral to just basically, like, give that validation and to make me feel like I belonged with you guys, like I was alongside you guys rather than beneath you guys, which was a huge help for me, I guess, in creating. And so Daryl, wherever you are out there, thank you. Seriously. Just, yeah.
Just
I would
wanna
like to
know.
add that I wasn't always the nicest to Thero.
No, you weren't.
And I am sorry, and I hope you are doing well. I
We're all
do.
sending our best wishes to Theral, wherever he may be.
Yeah.
No, I'm very glad I got to include that in the documentary, though, because it's, you know, on one level there is this sort of like, you know, oh, it's a like entertaining story about this like super fan, but on another level, like it's really I think one of the most moving parts of the documentary, and really just one of the most moving stories I heard out of all the creator group stuff. You know, how much he actually did touch people, and you know how much people cared about him, and how much he cared about the series. And it's this really special thing that, like, I guess you can theoretically see that in communities these days, but, like, it's so rare and it's not as tight-knit. Like, I feel like a figure like Theral is something that I'm not sure could exist in the same way anymore, which I guess could be said about almost anything in that documentary, right? Like, anything creators group related in the doc, you could say, well, it doesn't exist the same way. But, like, you know, that's one of the many things.
He was mythical. There was like a moment where he was like mythical after he existed on Unfiction, and everyone was like, we're like in the private group, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what the fuck is this? And then finally, like, got to meet him in video chat and stuff, and we're like, he's an actual person. And this is like before bots existed, so I think if it was now, we'd be like, this is definitely a bot. But like, yeah, he was like a mythical unicorn.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a perfect descriptor for him. Like he's just and it was such like it was odd seeing Unfiction go and him sort of disappear after that, because it was more or less like where we knew to find him, and all of a sudden he was just kind of not around anymore.
How do we find him?
Unfiction.
I mean, I think this is probably the venue. Like, shout out.
Theral, come find us.
Theral, come back.
We
Please tell
need
me you saw the
you.
doc.
Yeah, exactly. Did you see the documentary? It's about you.
What did you
Look at how far we've all come.
The secret 4th episode, which is just you.
The secret
interviewing
4th episode
Theral
is
for
just a
2
Theral
hours.
interview. Yes.
But no, you know, when thinking about like, because one of the things that has come up as I've talked to a lot of people in various positions in making ARGs is this idea of unfiction.com as a thing that can never be accomplished again, a thing that is so like the loss of which is so astronomical for the community. And like that's absolutely true. I mean, you cannot like really say anything about that. You look at the atomization of where the ARG community is now and other or like where the horror community is now. It's remarkably different, not because of the format of Unfiction per se, though that certainly plays into it, but in part because there were so many years behind the creation of Unfiction, you know? But what I think the big thing that is obvious to me, having gone through and read a lot, and not the IRC chats, obviously can't get those, but read a ton of the what remains of the forum posts, is that it is, and maybe this is the summation, this is the summation of your documentary to some extent, Lexi, as it relates to the Slenderverse, but that it is actually the relationships people held to each other that make that space special. Not that there wasn't anything that went horribly wrong on Unfiction, not that people couldn't be perfectly nasty to each other, but that everybody was there in it together in a way that doesn't seem to exist now. Although the moderation team on Unfiction, perhaps I'm required to say, because of the people that I'm friends with, were really great. Nobody please DM me. No, actually, though, they did a wonderful job. But I think it's interesting to hear people talk about the way that they're nostalgic for community spaces, because more often than not, the space becomes emblematic and symbolic of the community in a way that is hard to put into words. I think in part because we don't have as much language for this idea of digital space as physical space that people occupy, as we do like when we're talking about like buildings or community gardens or things like that, you know?
I mean, it's interesting because like what you're describing is basically like a lack of third spaces, right? Like the
Yes.
lack of a third space, like in physical space. But also the way that I like consider the internet, the way that I consider the way that we like communicate on the large is more this like funnel version where like people used to write letters. That's how they would connect to each other. And then the telephone existed. And so it was like kind of wider but also shallower, where it was like not as much time, and then like the internet like wider and also thinner, and it's only gotten kind of like broader and thinner, so we have more reach and maybe those connections don't feel as in depth. But I think that the like broadness of it, it's not, it's like a trade-off, but it isn't like an invalidation. And I think that maneuvering through that space and the way that it's different isn't some kind of like loss of what used to exist. It's just kind of a foil for like how it exists now versus like how it used to exist, which is like an interesting investigation to kind of dig into.
I do think that platform also does have at least a little bit of a factor in it, because Marissa, you did mention earlier about the Facebook group thing and about how it's like, why didn't anybody else just try to do something like this again in like a better space than Facebook? I feel like Unfiction had a really good interface, so to speak, where it was really easy to get involved with individual series, and to like it would always bump like new series to the top, and it wouldn't matter the popularity of the series. It would just allow for you to just experience what was being updated and at what point. Whereas like something like Facebook or like other social medias that exist right now, some of the bigger ones, like there's no way to kind of replicate what Unfiction is doing with those interfaces. I think it would, if we had something more like a classic forum, like Unforum, like I guess something awful also, like, you know, anything that has like a bump thread kind of interface to it, then there'd probably be more of a chance for us to start up a community-based thing like that again. But as things exist now, there's no real place online to do something like that easily and accessibly.
Well,
So
I
like
think there's
that's
a
kind of
speed.
frustrating.
There's a speed to moving through a forum, right? Which, not to get too much into the weeds of this, because again, I don't want to stray too much into the niche.
We do have other questions.
How we doing on questions?
We do have many other questions.
We could go back to that. The other thing I was gonna toss out is like that you all have series that address in one way or another something outside of the vein of what I think the more popular series were covering in terms of their subject matter, in terms of what audience you were responding to at the time. And so like, you know, obviously it's a very broad frame, but I do think it's worth asking, like, what was it like to make a series in the moment that you were making them that wasn't like to differentiate yourself from the rest of the kind of big heavy hitter Slenderverse series?
Austin, go first.
Sure. I mean, so we started watching Marble Hornets. We started keeping up with them regularly. And it was originally me, Dylan, and one other person that we were like, hey, we like doing theater. We like doing shorts. We should make something. Like, we like horror. Eventually it just ended up being me and Dylan. But and I think, Dylan, you were more into watching like Everyman Hybrid and other series, and I wasn't really keeping up with other series. I was mainly watching Marble Hornets for a little bit, but we really wanted to add. I think our main focus was to try to add some mythos to Slenderman, and give it almost like a backstory of like, where does he come from, why is he here, sort of thing. So we kind of gung-hoed on that. And I don't even know, like you mentioned with the whiteboard, how we had like 100 ideas written down on whiteboard, and like we always were jumping to a new idea. It's hard to keep track of like where exactly our mythos landed, but that was like our main focus. and we also wanted to make like a story. Like I think we saw a lot of videos where it's like you see him in the background and then the camera shakes and video ends, but we kind of wanted to make more to it, just like adding in characters, adding in a story, adding in like a relationship between people. So we kind of focused on those two things.
And then I think in response to Austin's comment about the mythos, like the one thing that we, in all of these like ideas that we had on the whiteboard and going back and forth and things we started and never continued and what have you, I think the virus aspect of it is something that was there, but I think we put a very basic name to it. And again, it was like so early on that when, I mean, Austin's talking about like, we wanted to give him a backstory. It was like fucking open season. I don't truly, it was like you could do absolutely anything you want. There was like no template really, outside of a few things here or there that you're like, oh, that's what has to be in a Slender series. But yeah, it was like, do whatever you want. It was crazy.
I was saying in chat during the doc, probably, I think, or yeah, during the premiere of the doc today, I was saying that I think that MLA is like my favorite series in terms of like the use of visual metaphor. Like it was one of those things that I got really hooked on when I was watching it. You know, the imagery that you guys established, stuff with the clock and all that stuff, like really was, I think, one of the first times I was truly exposed to visual metaphor in a way that like resonated with me when I was like 17, 18. And, you know, obviously starting college after that and being introduced to visual metaphor as like an actual filmmaking concept and all that stuff, I would always kind of harken back to MLA. And so like, you know, there would be other series that do visual metaphor stuff, but MLA was like my intro to it. And so like a lot of the Stan Frederick stuff that I ended up doing later down the line when I started introducing visual metaphor stuff into my work was absolutely a result of MLA's influence, so to speak. So thanks, Dylan. Thank you.
That's so nice.
Oh,
I don't think we knew.
did we lose somebody? Or did we
No, all of the panels are destroyed now. All right.
Also, while I do have the floor, I will actually answer the question that I really did enjoy the doc as well. Like,
thank you.
Alex, I really like the way you structured it. There's something very particularly like the way that you structured each part of it to like include. It's not just like each series, but you'd break it up with it's the series, and then it's also like some of the bigger events and some of the bigger cultural stuff. Like the structure is amazing. As an editor first, I just wanted to say beautifully edited. Really
Thank you.
nice.
Been editing since October.
Good girl, go on. Yes, I think that like now that we're in the video chat, like I absolutely want to like give you the roses. Like thank you so fucking much for spending like 2 years of life like doing this insane deep dive and like excavating not only like the series but also like the cultural moment that was happening at that point, and then also just this like masterful transition between this like sprawling, messy category of such a variety of things and giving it so much like grace and attention and like, you know, sidestepping, like touching on things that are like the interpersonal dramas and like not kind of hiding them, but also being like, but the majority of the takeaway and the majority of the priority is actually something different. Like that shit was happening and existed, but also the like other thing is even bigger. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I really appreciate that. And you know, I don't know if I've talked about this publicly yet. I know I've mentioned it to several people. So the documentary was originally going to be just 1 2-hour film. And there were multiple instances where I realized that it needed to get bigger. The first of which was when I really did the deep dive into the blogs, which several people have thanked me for doing in the first place.
Yeah.
They're like, thank you for deep diving into the blogs. And I'm like, my pleasure. They're phenomenal. They're like the coolest, like weird, like it's this like insane power fantasy, like fan fiction type stuff, but it's also this like insane supernatural mythology. Like it's beautiful. I love it. And I couldn't resist recreating a lot of it in live action. And then there was the bigger moment. I mean, there's two bigger moments. One of which was my conversation with Evan Jennings, which shed so many light on so many different things, like especially the like interpersonal aspects, where I was like, oh boy, there's a lot I need to dig into that I'm not touching yet. That I need to, and I need to expand the project to do. And then, of course, discovering the creators group, or not. I mean, I vaguely knew about it, but really getting to know about it, and then eventually getting let into it, which that's still kind of surreal to me. But like, you know, it's just this like incremental, bigger and bigger and bigger, where I was like, oh my god, this story, it's not just Slenderman series, it's not just Slenderman mythology in general, it's not just even like the crossover and the connected universe, it's like it's this community and these interpersonal relationships, and then of course, you know, as we're getting into episode 3, there's all the crazy shit that happened with Slenderman later. You know, but even these 2 episodes is all before that, and there's so much to dig into there. And so like, yeah, it really was just like, I was not going to spend as long on it as I did. It was not going to be, you know, 18 months to 2 years of my life. That was not the plan. But that's what ended up happening, because I was like, well, goddamn, this is a really good story and I need to do it justice, right?
And I also want to say that you cannot do a short project. Never once have I spoken to you and you've pitched me a project and it hasn't become massive. You made a short, you successfully made a short film, and then you made it longer, and then you made it longer again.
Yes.
Incredible.
So this is just how it. There's another project we've been kicking around that I won't say anything about in detail, but it went from being a single project to like multiple series of TV show. So this is just.
This is what I do. Yeah, I don't understand how I went. I don't understand how I went from like the analog horror documentary where I went, we're gonna do like a 90-minute like quick explanation of analog horror, which turned into 3 hours.
Yes.
And then I went, okay, we're gonna do a real short deep dive into the Slenderverse, like real short. It'll be shorter than 3 hours. Don't worry. Like I know what I'm doing. I did not know what I was doing.
As a short deep dive into the Slenderverse, no such thing.
Yeah,
I mean, Val did it.
Yes.
Val did like a short deep dive.
Well, I mean, of course, like Art for Everyone. Can we briefly, I want to talk about Art for Everyone, because that is like the core of this entire project, of all 3 episodes.
Yes.
But especially episode 2, which is why it literally opens with like this basically like 1.5 minute like loving homage to Art for Everyone. Because I do love that video to death, and it shaped my entire understanding of ARGs in general, quite honestly.
I think I owe my whole life to that essay at this point, because
yes, you do.
Not only has it influenced this documentary in some way, but also just on a more personal note. Like, I met Jane Schoenbrunn and we're all going to the World's Fair because of that essay. They reached out to me because of that essay. So like that's twice now that essay and my like care for the Slenderverse as like an art space has like yielded like some kind of progression in my art life. So dope. I'm so glad that I got to make that and reach people with it. You included, Alex. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just speaks to how passionate you are.
Do you talk about her Slenderman documentary in the 3rd episode? Is that a thing?
It is mentioned. It is mentioned. It's not discussed in depth, but it's in there. It's
a self-induced hallucination? Oh, yeah.
It's mentioned.
Okay. What about the HBO Slenderman documentary, Alex? Beware the Slenderman.
Oh, we talked about that one in the 3rd episode, too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, bully Slenderman
was that the one you and I saw?
Yes. We went to the premiere.
Wait, Gio, you were there at the premiere? Wait, we got to talk about this. What was the premiere like for Beware the
We're never getting to the other question.
Now that I know that Gio was there.
Oh my god! Within 5 minutes, I instantly didn't like anyone involved in it. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no, we were fucking mad, and I was literally like the whole movie, like,
yeah. Meanwhile, they were all high-fiving each other like, yeah, we fucking nailed this shit. I'm like, man, I wanted to be like, you guys fucking suck. Like, seriously, man.
This is why we stayed in a secluded little group.
Yeah, that's why it's a private community.
Like, literally, the group needed to be this, because I was like,
oh, wow. I will say that documentary and then the the real live incident where two girls, thought they had to sacrifice their friend to Slenderman. Those were things that happened that really pushed me so far away that I haven't really talked to any of y'all since then. Like I think besides messaging y'all or you liking some of my Instagram stories, like I haven't seen Marissa since that premiere, and in person that is, and I haven't seen Chris. I think since 2019, a few months before COVID.
I think
So
I talked to Chris. This is Chris Kraska, not Chris Hammarberg. I
Mm.
talked to Chris Kraska
Oh,
on the
yeah,
phone
yeah.
for like hours. The day that the stabbing happened, like me and him kind of cried on the phone together for a few hours.
I think that the Wisconsin incident specifically, like I remember seeing on the creators group, like for like the next week or so after it had happened, a bunch of people just basically outwardly posting stuff like, "Hey, I think I'm done with this," and that went on for a bit. There was a stretch of that, and it felt like just this really somber stretch where, like, to a lot of people, and sensibly so, like, it didn't feel like the art was worth it at that point. Like it crossed the line for them, and it was starting to bleed into a reality that was uncomfortable for them. And like I always understood it, but where I was sitting, I guess, at my age and like how involved I was in the art side of it, I was just like, I'm gonna keep going, but I also get why people were jumping ship at that point. It's just an awful thing.
So, whatever, the big joke is that I'll probably cry during the live stream because I cry at everything. Thank you, Lexi, for like editing away from every time I'm crying when we're talking in the interview. Love you. Thank you. Literally, that was like the most devastating shit. That was the most devastating shit because the entire aim and goal of building this like internet boogeyman was the idea of making it as real as possible. And like to be successful at horror was to like make people believe that it was real, and like leaning on authenticity, giving explanations for why you're like using your phone cam, giving explanations for what your series is. I'm making a series because my therapist told me to. I'm making a series because we're doing health, la di da, like all of these bullshit reasons for explanation to try to give this arch of reality and authenticity. And in that, we like built a boogeyman, and the cost of people believing it so much, becoming that like children who are like exposed to the internet are in this space where reality is very thin, and they're obviously exposed to the idea of violence in some kind of way that is like putting them the fuck at risk. And like it's so heart-wrenching. We don't have to keep talking about it.
Yeah.
But it was extremely devastating. It was a huge pivot. So many people were like, oh fuck, I can't keep making my series.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly interested to see how part 3 is going to tackle it. If it does in detail, I'm not sure how much it does, but I'm interested to see.
I don't want to talk about this too much on this stream because I feel like the documentary has a lot to say on this topic. A lot of different perspectives, which I think are helpful. But yes, it is touched on significantly in the 3rd episode because, I mean, it's a huge part of this story, and it's impossible to ignore it, right? You know, like there's all the stuff about the mythology and the community, and those are both huge pillars of the whole what happened with Slenderman. But the stabbing is a huge pillar as well. So that it is touched on in the 3rd episode.
And I think we'll end up talking about it on the after show a little bit too, not just because it's obviously like, pressing, but because like I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin right now. And so there are just things to talk about that don't belong in the documentary about the persistence of the Slenderman as a figure in Wisconsin because of what happened here specifically, that are both fascinating from a folklore perspective and also devastating when it comes to thinking about how people in communities in the Midwest U.S. hold on to trauma. But like there's a story on the ground here that doesn't belong in this documentary, but is nonetheless fascinating and interesting and maybe worth talking about in the next one of these.
Yes. Yeah.
Also, girl, my partner's from Milwaukee.
Oh, rad.
We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah. Rain, do we have any audience questions?
We have so many audience questions.
Let's jump to those.
So,
we're way over time.
I really feel like
we have asked literally one question this entire panel.
What are you talking about?
Okay, we're going to speed down answers. Okay, 2-word answers.
Let's get some audience
let's
questions.
Let's get to these
here.
2 audience questions. 3 counting this one. This one from Samara Luna, which is, if it's not too late, can we find out if we can get a copy of that cool diagram poster used in the documentary, which I assume is Val's crossing over graphic.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Which we remastered. I don't know if you noticed, Val, but we did remaster it.
I did notice immediately.
Yes.
It was incredible, like amazing work. Because like, I did it on MS Paint, and it went through like 6 different stages of compression by the time I put it up.
We painstakingly,
You said
MS Paint.
Rain painstakingly recreated it in high
This
resolution.
isn't even my final.
It was not that hard, honestly. I guessed it was made in MS Paint, and I was like, well, there's only so many fonts that are in the MS Paint suite, so
I couldn't even tell you which one I used, so...
Rain can.
Yeah, I had it, and then I've forgotten what it was now, but it's in my DMs with Lexi. But I mean, I think I put attribution on it because the original doesn't have that,
and that's in there.
So yeah, I think if we can easily, as long as you're cool with it, we can put the high res version up and.
Please, no, do so. I was watching the first part of the documentary last week, and I was watching it with my dad and my little brother who play characters in my series. We were all watching it together, and the first instance of the web showed up on screen, and I stood up and I just did the point. I was like, no fucking way. It happened. I can't believe this is in the documentary. It's incredible. Yeah, please release the high res.
So you didn't have that reaction to yourself being in the documentary,
Oh,
but you did
no.
the crossover web.
We did briefly consider naming this after show crossing over because of the graphics. So
Yes.
That's true.
That's amazing. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, no, I saw that, and I literally because that felt like the deep cut to me was like was including that, and I was like, no way, I threw that up on Unfiction and maybe in the creators group like pretty early on, and then I hadn't heard from it since. I made a reference to it on a T-shirt that I tried selling for San Frederick a little while back.
I remember that, yeah.
And I was like, no one's gonna even know what this is, and now it's just on fucking the documentary. I was like, no way, that's amazing, that's awesome. So cool.
And only one of many deep cuts in the documentary.
Bro.
One of many deep cuts.
Also, shout out to like Chris Kraska, Afraid at Home. Like, there's multiple points where like Afraid at Home is like featured in text and stuff, and I'm like, oh god, why didn't we holler at Chris? And then also Osiris Chronicles, like Tristan and TA, you like use the Black Eyed Children. Like, I love them. That I know in person. Like, I
did as much as I could to include Slenderverse series that I didn't like interview explicitly, but make sure to like put a video or like a screenshot that made sure to have their name in there somewhere. Like, I wanted everyone to feel included. Yes, I wanted everyone to feel included at least a little bit.
I saw some I Can See the Giant clips in there, and I was like, good. Yes, thank you.
That's such a good series.
Here's a random tidbit that no one will ever know because Tiny Chat no longer exists.
Oh my god, yes.
One day, a screenshot of our chat was saved, and it was used as promotional image on the front page of Tiny Chat of Weird, and it was this twisted still of Chris Kraska, Chris Trauma, going like in a screen, and it's on the weird subcategory of Tiny Chat.
Oh my god!
We find this place.
This is ridiculous. While we're hunting, we do have another question about a deep cut here, which is Teleghosts asked, question for the Anderson Journal folks. Will we ever get access to the bathtub drowning video? Just curious after seeing the clips in the documentary. So here's an invitation to talk about the bathtub drowning.
Yes, I love the bathtub video. I am so happy I was granted the chance, the opportunity, the honor to include it in the documentary. I love that scene. I watched it like 4 times when I first saw it because I was like, damn, this is a good scene.
It's funny that you mentioned that because we just found out in the chat that for the first time tonight, Austin found out that video existed.
I'd love to see it too. I can't wait until it gets released.
So
I'm all you.
Val, maybe use it for one of the streams if you're all.
Yeah, no, definitely. So the actual, for context, everybody, what actually happened was that Dylan had shot it with Evan, and then Dylan had sent it to me, and to edit it. So all the visual stuff in that video was actually done by me. Whatever, there was purple distortion in it and some voice doubling with Habit, and I had basically done all the editing work for that. And I uploaded 2 versions of it unlisted to YouTube to send to Dylan for, to check with him if it was good. And I kept them up unlisted on YouTube for all this time. So the original files got lost, right, Dylan? I assume that the original files, you don't have them anymore?
Oh no, here's the crazy thing that happened is, so you took the videos, edited it, I sent them back, and then I promptly forgot about all of it until people started asking me years later what happened to the bathtub video.
Well, I'm glad I uploaded them listed then.
Sorry about that, but I'm glad it exists still. That's cool.
Yeah. And I remember I sent it to you recently. I was going to.
Well, no, yeah, I sent it directly to Alex, and Alex was like, "I still have time to put this in the documentary." And I was like, "Well, this
for
works out,
reference,
I guess."
Chat, like I literally was hunting for this video last year. It's one of many like white whales of the docuseries for me. There were plenty of like lost things I wanted to find, and shockingly, I found most of them. Like actually, like a ridiculous amount of like lost content or like weird things that I wanted to find or weird information I wanted to uncover. I managed to do. The Habit bathtub video was the very last one that I really like, the last big one on my list, and quite literally, like I believe it was only like 2 weeks ago or maybe 3 weeks ago that I was finally contacted by Dylan, who was like, "Hey, you're asking about the bathtub video last year?" And also, like, for reference, I asked like 4 other people as well who were like in the chat, who like, "Do you have the bathtub video?" No one.
I wish you'd asked me, Alex, because I've had it the whole time. The only reason I sent it to Dylan was on a whim. I don't even remember what the context was.
I literally asked the entire EMH crew. And I didn't think once to ask you, because I was like, why would you have it? But apparently I should have. And I'm glad that somehow it was resurfaced right in time for me to include it.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you not learned who has the historical record?
Exactly.
Have you not learned who keeps the oral traditions?
No, there's one more that I need to throw out here if there are people listening. I know, Austin, I brought it up maybe when we first hopped on. We made an April Fool's video. We did it 5 episodes into our series. So nothing had happened yet. So we just had to kind of roll with that. But I don't, you were looking for it, I think, maybe, Osti. Is there any chance that exists anywhere with anyone in the audience if we can't find it?
I'll have to check my channels and then Andy's channels. But
it was shockingly well done for 5 episodes in and a direct contrast.
But at that point, we had revealed it's a Slenderman series, right? So.
Oh yeah, I was hugging Slenderman in the April Fool's.
Yeah. Okay.
God, that fucking video. I reference that video all the time. Specifically, the what is it? The mirrors cracked like my psyche. I think about that line all the fucking time.
Okay.
And there was a point. Oh, I remember what it was when I was doing Slender for Gender last year with Kay. The reason why I had originally brought up the bathtub video was because I had asked you if I could use it as one of the donation tiers, but you hadn't been able to get back to me until after the event was already over, the stream was already over. So I just kept it. And I think one of the things I also had asked you about was the April Fool's video, and you had said that you didn't know where it was, and you would ask Austin about it. But so those 2 videos were gonna be reward tiers potentially for the charity event.
They still could be.
I'll have to search
a charity.
I know anywhere.
Slender for Gender 2025, please.
Okay,
I'll be there. I'll help.
Fuck. Oh yeah, I'll hook up Kate tonight. Fuck it, I don't know.
All right, yeah, let's do it.
Give me, Jesus Christ, that's amazing. What did that just happened? That just happened. So also one more. We'll get one more, and then I really have to end on this question.
Final question.
Is this final question? Okay, fine. Well, then you can choose which one of these you respond to. Don't tell me, just do it.
Oh wait, sorry. We have 2 questions. Fine,
yes.
Let's do 2 questions.
One of
I'm
them
not going to bed
is,
anytime soon.
how do you like with this group of folks in particular? what are your, like, as people are coming to making new series who are or already kind of starting and then the documentary has spurred them, or the documentary is the reason they're picking it up, or they were already making a new series anyway because weirdly enough between 2023 and 2024 a bunch of people have started doing this again, where do you see in the beginning of this new movement in the scene coming from, and like where do you see those, like what are you excited for in that, and those sorts of things. The other question outside of like how are you feeling about this new wave is what would you consider yourself as a sauce, which is another, which of course got reprised, and so one of those two.
This is
Either Chris or
ultimately
Dave's question.
Give us your intelligent answer about what you think of the new wave of the Slenderverse, and also what sauce are you?
Yeah, what?
I
That's
don't know,
this
just looking
show.
at either question.
Dylan, for context, in the last part, Lee had brought this up because apparently it's a question that Savannah.
Oh, fucking Lee brought it up?
Of course, Lee brought
Look at
it up.
this on this chat. On this chat, you bring up that motherfucker. Okay, all right, yeah. Okay.
Wait,
what did
which-
Lee say?
Yeah, Dylan, go off.
Wait, what's the first question again? I'm so sorry.
What do you think of the new
serious
wave
question.
of the? What do you think of the new wave of the Slenderverse? Why do you think it started? How do you feel about it now? What are you excited for in the future?
Wow.
Okay, because when you first posted, it sounded more like an advice situation, but
Well, you
now
can
it's
give
like
advice.
a response.
If you have
take it
advice,
as
give
you will.
advice. But it was more about the wave itself.
Yeah.
If you were to ask someone in the chat who maybe wasn't there in the Slenderverse for advice on rebooting your series, what would you say, Marissa?
Okay, well,
I didn't
I'm
mean to
40
actually
years
take over the
old.
question. I'm sorry.
I'm
Somebody
not
did
really
ask.
sure, like, I'm not really sure, like, what to give advice for young people who are navigating the internet. I think the best piece of advice that I could say for what my personal experience 100 years ago when I was, like, making Slenderman stuff is take some risks and go into weird platforms and make weird choices and see, like, what you can possibly find in spaces that are otherwise, like, not quite populated yet, like go into fucking Snapchat. I don't know, what are the young people doing? Like whatever the fuck they're like using, see if you can use some like weird shit. They use Snapchat, right? Are you videotaping me?
Yes,
Fuck you.
I love
I'm in my 20s and I don't know what the kids are doing either. So like we're
Okay.
good.
Yes. But like this is what I would say is like don't be afraid to do some weird shit and see like try to have like an organic response to what is available to you and see what you can get from it instead of just like replicating what already exists.
I want to do a double answer. I want to answer the first thing first and saying the thing I'm most excited for, I guess, is just the fact that it's basically what I was saying in the talk. I'm just happy to see people are making stuff. That's like my bottom line answer. Like it's nice to see that people are just like coming out of the woodwork, are seeing things that inspire them, and are making other things. To tack onto that, to answer the question that Marissa's answering, that Dylan posed more or less, my advice in that situation is forget about quality. It doesn't matter. Like I cannot stress that enough. If you are making art in a space that you are allowed to make it without like the constraints of studios or wider culture, like just create. Like throw caution to the wind, throw quality to the wind. Just like let out what you need to let out. Like if you're going to improve as an artist, you need to start somewhere, and this is a great avenue to start. That's it. That's all I got.
Al is a gift. How did we get so lucky to have her? Are you
Absolutely.
kidding
Agreed.
me? I want to hug
Agreed.
you.
I want to just also yes and that and just add, if you ask any fucking artist in any background whether or not they have failed at making things, the answer will be unequivocally yes, many times. So if you find yourself in a position where you are afraid of failure when it comes to these sorts of things, where you have this idea of what something needs to be, as you were saying, Val, like the failure is part of that process. The failure is part of the way that one makes good art. And like I said, nobody asked me this question, but I do just want to like say, hey, failure's a big thing, and people should enjoy it actually when it happens as much as they can.
Stan Frederick BTS. I just like to throw that out there because it's a 2 season long thing that I made, and I hated so much that I rebooted it, and something better that I like came out of it. But without Stan Frederick BTS, a series that was just me throwing ideas at a wall until I liked 2 of them, like there's no The Record of Stan Frederick, and by extension there's no the new series I'm working on. Like, these things are a process. It's not just going to be like you start making a Slenderman series and it's incredible like off the bat, like, or you start making art in general and it's going to be incredible off the bat. It's art. You put yourself into it until it's a version of yourself that you like. That's out there, you know.
How do we get so lucky that we got Val? How do we get so lucky?
For real.
I really just generally just want to say also, I'm just going to sneak this in here, that I really like appreciate like all of the creators that I've come to know over the years. You guys, the guys in everybody in the previous part, everybody that I've seen in the doc, and people that haven't even been mentioned in the doc outright, you know, just artists in general that I've come to know over the years that have, in small or big ways, just shaped everything in my artistic lens, the general community aspect of this. It's informed so much of how I interact online and how I interact with art, and care enough to continue to reach out to 16 to 18-year-olds now and just be like, are you making something? Well, you should be making something. Like, that's super valuable to me. So thanks. Thank you.
It's fine. I'm crying. I like crying. It's fine.
I'm sorry, Marissa. I'm sorry.
I fucking bet before we went on here, I was like, whatever, I cried the whole time you were interviewing me. I'm gonna fucking cry in this chat.
It's fine. Well, so we're all meeting on Myimmersion on Tiny Chat after this, right? Like, that's what
Yeah, we're all heading there.
Tiny Chat is not a website anymore.
It was last year. I think it's still around, technically.
Austin and I are going to hop on Omegle for times. They're for opening sake.
Oh, God.
So stomping ground.
I do the show and Austin does the holding. That's how we dealt with it back in the day. I don't know.
Oh, God damn
it. Do you guys remember Rabbit? RABB.it.
I know what you're talking about.
To
Yes.
illegally stream, watch movies together with your friends. You guys remember this shit?
I remember that. Not in the Slenderverse, but more broadly as a
Did
website.
I go on that with you?
Yeah, we watched that. You remember the Gossip Girlfriends? How Alex Maddden hadn't watched any fucking movies, so in order to watch it with them, we watched the classic.
I cannot believe I forgot about Gossip Girlfriends, and I'm so sorry that it did not make it into the doc. Gossip Girlfriends.
The Gossip Super Best Girlfriends and the Blue-Footed Booby Babes of the Slenderverse. You forget about that?
It was me, you, Chris Kraska, and Alex Maddden.
Yeah, and Jeff was supposed to be in it, but he just never fucking committed.
No, he was too busy.
Then there's the super secret Slenderverse server and Cool Kids Club.
There's that. And it wasn't that, and you still haven't told me what it is, and I'm gonna get to the bottom of this.
Each word started with a C, not a K, by the way. Everyone chill out. All right.
Let's just fucking.
Dylan, I am so sorry. Like, you are my brother, but I definitely had Gossip Girlfriends outside of you.
Oh, well.
And it is
Jeff
true, like,
only was in.
I was busy. So.
The amount that, like, me and Dylan have been, like, chatting nonstop for the last couple of weeks, and honestly, like, I got a secret preview, like, a little while ago. Thank you so much, Alex, for that. I literally was, like, sending, like, an old person, like, videos for my phone, watching the video straight to Dylan and being like, we need to talk about this. And then we were like calling on the phone like nonstop, like, because one of the things that was really strange about this entire moment was that we are not actors. We're not fucking actors. So any of the shit that was happening in our YouTube series that felt authentic was literally like us talking about some shit that was actually happening that we're like, we're just gonna like badge a different name on what it is, but having like real life conversations about what was happening. So there is this weird, this like weird kind of like re-traumatizing thing that is like, oh fuck, that's what was happening in my life then. Oh man.
Especially with the Tulpa Effect.
Well, thank you, Gio.
You're welcome. If we're gonna keep answering or asking
Yes.
or
Oh, shit,
giving
I'm so
advice,
sorry.
Yes.
so I'm not usually good at giving advice, but what I will say, what drew me into the Slenderverse was that I did read a lot of blogs and I did watch a lot of vlogs. There were things that were obviously not good, but all I simply did was focus on the things that they did really well. And I told them only that. I didn't say these other things didn't work for me. And I surrounded myself with people that only focused on the things that were done well. Now, what that does is it rewards your brain. You hear, okay, I do this thing well, I will keep doing this thing. And maybe they didn't realize they were doing that thing, but once they rewatch it and see what I'm saying, they were like, all right, maybe I can do a little bit more of this thing. And then it's like pulling at yarn until, I don't know, I'm shitty at metaphors, but like basically it's like instead of looking too far ahead, just look at the first, like look at the the 6 inches in front of you. Sexual innuendo not intended. But like I know there's some people, dude, we're on
Where do you think
Twitch,
we
okay?
are?
I'm just saying, like, just kind of have hater blockers on in a way. Like, if someone says something isn't working, they're probably right in a way as well. But usually those types of people will tell you like, oh, this is what you need to do to fix it. That's the part you shouldn't listen to. You should just agree with them like, ah, yes, this didn't quite work, and then whatever they say afterwards, just ignore that, and just go back to your workshop in your head, and then try something a little bit different in the next shoot.
Because like at the end of the day, it's like it's yours, it's you. So it's like it's almost weird to me to like experience criticism from people that are looking at your art from either their lens or from like a popular lens. So it's like, oh, your writing could be punched up here. I'm like, by whose metric? It doesn't fit with what we're doing specifically. Like we're bringing ourselves to something, and so therefore, how much of that criticism is actually I guess valid in that sense. I mean, everyone's going to come at it from different ways. I think a lot of the bigger series do draw from like narrative convention and thematic convention and stuff like that. So those kinds of criticisms are more warranted there. But a lot of younger creators who are just coming in and just like, I'm gonna throw a bed sheet on my head and I'm gonna put on my communion suit and I'm gonna do Slenderman. Like that's like that doesn't feel to me like it deserves like the same like intensity of criticism from people as like the people that are trying from a filmic lens or like a traditional cinematic lens. So like I stopped ages ago when people would critique when people would ask me to look at their series. I stopped ages ago being like, here's what you're doing wrong, here's what you need to do it better. The first question I usually ask is just like, is this what you want to do? Like what's the like what do you want to bring to this? And that's usually just the jumping off point. Everything else from here is up to them. It's their art. So. Oh, also to answer the question of what kind of sauce I am the bomb hot sauce from the Hot Ones lineup. Because I taste terrible, but I'm hot as shit. I'm just gonna go with that. That's fine.
I forgot we asked the sauce question.
It was important. I was waiting for it to come back around, and that was worth it.
I figured, set up, payoff.
Sure. All right, Dylan and Austin, your turn. Finish us out. Finish out the question.
And finish us out. We're over time.
Yeah, we're like 43 minutes over time.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say what Rain said. Honestly, the failing part. Like I feel like one thing I've learned in my life and through the series and just beyond is not being afraid to fail and actually wanting to fail, because I'll constantly be just doing my job and then no one gives me criticism and I'm like, please just tell me something I'm doing wrong, because I feel like I'm just not progressing as a person. So yeah, I just want to echo the whole, don't just not be afraid to fail, but like embrace wanting to fail so that you can learn, and learn in a big way, not in a like, you did a good job but it could be better. It's like, now I know exactly what I can do to make it so much more better than what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll also jump in here real briefly with my advice to creators. Boundaries. Set your boundaries. Have strong boundaries online. Be safe. Be careful. Don't
Especially
internet life, personal life. They're separate. Make sure they're separate.
Can I actually, like, whenever we're supposed to talk about
everyone in this chat could have used that advice.
Can I ask you, Alex, what it feels like as a documentarian that's basically like unearthing this history of all of our lives? And I know that every single fucking person that you talk to at some point must have talked about the parts that were damaging, unsavory, the parts that were trolls and stalkers, and the parts that were just like the perpetual inundation of like criticism and comments that are like people making demands of wanting the thing different. They're basically treating you like you're fucking Chris Hemsworth and have like unlimited resources and should be doing like their artistic vision of things. And it's like, I don't know if you have that vision, you should do it yourself. Why are you asking me to do this? And I know that part of you doing this documentary is like having heard those stories from like a dozen people. And I suspect that you are like now experiencing the thing that we were describing to you, and how that is feeling and how you're navigating that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, okay, so over the course of the 18 months that I was doing the documentary, between research and interviews especially, there was so much of like, the Slenderverse community is like crazy and chaotic, and like they will disrespect your boundaries, and you need to be wary, and also like just generally artistic creation, that's kind of how it works. And also just, you know, people talking about like what it's like to be kind of like a public figure, but like in this weird way where like you're a public figure, but it's only on the internet, so it doesn't feel real. But also these people are still like banging on your door 24/7, like across every platform you're on. And like you're just a normal, regular person. And yet like now there's all these people screaming. So I heard all about that from creators. And I mean, that's just one of many things. Like through this entire process, and this is maybe kind of a rambly answer, but like the process of talking to all of these people and diving into sometimes very, very intense subjects has actually, I would say, shaped me as a person pretty significantly in the last 18 months. I am like not the same person I was before this documentary. And that's partially because of just life, you know, but a huge part of that was gaining so much experience through talking to all of these incredibly talented, brilliant people who have all of these unique, diverse life experiences, and just being able to sit down and talk with them for like 2, 3, 4 hours, and you know, stay in contact with some of them for like the entire 18-month period. So like it's a lot of the conversations I had shaped just kind of me in general, but more specifically relating to the question, the online aspect of it. Yeah, it's been weird because I've heard so much about the community and what it's like to be a like Slenderverse creator, and now I am a Slenderverse creator. I did not give myself that title, though I maybe would have anyway. But I was given this title
I'll give
at
it
this
to you.
point.
Yeah,
I've been given
anyway.
this title. I've been given this title, so I am now a Slenderverse creator.
Make
And
Alex
yeah,
admin.
it's yes, make me an admin. Sure, the late comer to the Slenderverse creators group. No, but
Nuke the group, Alex.
I'm gonna keep Dylan's finger off the button. That's what I'll do. It'll
That's
be a
your
war
platform?
between the two of us. Yeah, yeah. My platform is I
I'm
will not
holding
nuke the group.
Dylan's finger back.
I will hold Dylan back now. But yeah, no, it's been strange because like I now have all of these people who are like, wow, you're like revitalizing my interest in the Slenderverse, or like you know, just looking up to me as this like creator that's doing all of these like incredible things. And it's like, I'm honored. It's a great feeling, but it's also like, oh my God, my notifications have not stopped for more than 5 minutes. For 2 weeks since I announced the documentary, not a single moment has gone by more than 5 minutes where I have not gotten a notification on my phone. So I have spent less time on social media in the past 2 weeks than I have in the entire 18 months leading up to the release. Because I'm like, there's so many people just shouting at me all the time, and not even necessarily bad things. Like it's genuinely so positive. Like 99% of the comments are just these ridiculous like praising like comments, and I'm honored and
Well deserved.
a little bit overwhelmed by it. But there's also like the haters there, of course, who are like, yeah, you should have done this, you should have done that. Like, why'd you make this choice? Why'd you make that choice? A couple queerphobic people in there as well. Like, and that's just what comes with being on the internet, right? And that's just what comes with being a public figure of any sort.
Girl, I am here. You just point them at me, and I will come for them.
I'm so sorry, Alex. She's been texting me about a moment like this, that she was waiting for this, where she can jump in.
I am ready to be the tiger mama. Like, I am self-appointed Slenderverse mama. Like, you
Correct.
just tell me who said the bad thing to you, and I will fucking get them. You just tell me.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Having issues, please direct all your questions towards Marissa. I'm just
Marissa for president.
Yeah. Jesus,
No,
Marissa for
not
president.
on my watch.
Yeah, but basically it's been strange. It's been overwhelming. There's a lot going on, and I expect it's only going to get more significant, as now we're in a new wave of the Slenderverse, and here I am at the forefront of it, I guess. Being one of the figureheads of it apparently. So we'll see how this goes.
I feel like I've been dropping a lot of sentimental things every time I've been speaking the last couple times. But Alex, I know me and you have had private conversations about this up until this moment, but I want to echo this now to everybody that like I've been trying for years, hard as I can, to get people interested in this and to ensure that like there's this need to create, and along comes Alex, who genuinely like feels like a version of me that made it and actually like exactly nailed what I've been trying to for years. So like I can retire. Thank you, Alex. I'm done. Today, this was my last day of the Slenderverse. I know that like if anything, if I ever were to stop doing this now, that I know there's somebody in this community that's as passionate and as like and that gets it like you do. So I'm set. Thank you. You did it. You did the thing I've been trying to do. I do appreciate like the work you've put in and everything. It's incredible.
I want to keep
Thank
going.
you. I'm
Let's
like
keep
tearing up
talking.
over
Let's
here.
give the roses. Alex, like I know that you and I have been like messaging and stuff, so you already know how I fucking feel about it. But like I am so grateful that you are bringing this like clear voice and this deftness and this grace to being able to like encompass such a sprawling, expansive, insane thing, and you're like really putting an incredible shine on all of the parts that felt the most important to us, this like big fat community that was inside of it, and like you really are giving it these accolades that I have always felt like it deserved. And it's like really cool to see this new iteration of just like reflecting on this past moment and the way that it's going to like propel into the future.
Yeah.
Would not trust anybody else like to do this in this way as much as Alex has, as well as Alex has.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm so deeply honored that everyone trusted me to tell this story and that I was able to tell it. I wouldn't have been able to without all of you trusting me to do it. And so I'm really honored that I was able to, and that I was, as I mentioned earlier, it kept expanding because I wanted to do the story justice. Like, I think I briefly mentioned this in the documentary, and I know I've mentioned it online before, but I'll mention it a little bit more here. Like, the Slenderverse is like probably the biggest reason I got into filmmaking and storytelling. Like, when I discovered like Marble Hornets, and then later when I discovered like EMH and Stan Frederick and like MLA and stuff, like, these were the things that shaped me becoming a filmmaker. And so like to be able to not only go back and like deep dive into it with a more mature perspective and like with the skills I now have, but also be trusted to like, by these people who literally shaped my existence as a storyteller, to be able to tell their stories. Like it's a huge honor. And
Alex, you earned that trust on day one. Like with the second that we got sat down with you for an interview and we heard the questions you were asking and what you were specifically focused on, like within like the first 10 minutes of our interview, I was like, oh, they got it. We're in good hands.
Yeah, that's not for me. The only reason I trusted you is because Dylan told me to.
Fair. That's valid. That's valid. The only reason Evan trusted me as well was because of Dylan. So
amazing. Also,
being a good co-signer.
Yeah. Thanks, Dylan.
I would also just like to interject here and say that Dylan is probably Chipotle Ranch, I think would be the sauce.
Oh, we're back to the sauce question, right?
We're very.
I'm gonna go ahead and guess that Lee answered that too. Did Lee say that? Right.
No, I said that. I thought of it just now, actually.
Cool. All right.
Very important that you know that. You're a little tangy, but you're still white. That's why you're Chipotle Ranch. It's just, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm so sorry.
The amount of this chat, I just want to say also that this is totally off topic, by the way. That these after shows are the most neurodivergent thing that has been created by mankind.
These are all over the place.
Exactly.
We have no idea what we're doing.
Oh my god.
There
goes Dylan.
It's just gone.
Oh, it's Eddie Dean. Hey, Eddie Dean.
Eddie Dean. Yeah.
Eddie Dean, you want to
saying, Rain?
Out because it's 2 a.m. where I'm at.
Yeah.
I think we gotta call it. I think
we close this out. We should close this out.
Thank
this
you
seems like
all
a good
so
note to
much
close this out.
for coming.
Oh wait, yeah. Okay, everyone, real quick, one sentence. What sauce are you?
The bomb.
Golden sriracha. It's extremely rare. Go and find it. It's incredible.
Nice.
I'm gonna shout out Aardvark Mango Habanero, my favorite hot sauce.
I actually love
it.
That
It is
sauce.
amazing. Oh, it's so good. Marissa, go find it. It's not made up. It's not made up, okay?
All right, Dylan. I know I subscribe to Sauce to you, but what sauce are you like from your perspective?
Oh,
Dylan,
I guess I don't eat a lot of sauces, but I don't like things
He's
too
a dry
spicy.
boy.
Yeah, so I like ranch.
Mountain Dew.
Ranch?
Oh no, that's what I grab for after I taste something a little too spicy. Is my Mountain Dew Baja Blast.
Gio, what sauce are you? You're the last one. Go.
I am that green stuff, which is a emulsified like oil, jalapeno, and garlic sauce that they sell at HEB, which is like a major grocery store in Texas. It's fucking tasty, and it's that green shit or that green stuff,
Hell yeah. And on that note, that's our show. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Alex. This was awesome.
Thank you all for being here. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you so much.
I'll send you off with one more bisexual Slenderman. Just for
hell yeah.
Enjoy it. Please do bomb Alex Hera at Alex Hera _, I think it is, right? On Twitter with
on
no
Twitter.
more documentaries 2K24.
I can't believe you got that.
It's important.
I got
Please do it.
10 messages of people saying #no more documentaries 2024, and it's your fault.
I know. This is my legacy. This is all I'll leave behind. Anyway, goodbye, everyone. Good night.